Chapter 633. Most of the ministers were frowning, especially those who were close to Lu Zhongbua. They didn't know what to do, especially those who were close to Lu Zhongbua. Only Li Mingkai and a few others were in a good mood. Lu Dang had finally been dealt with. They could finally hold their heads high. The only thing they were worried about was that the emperor's personality was too violent. He would mess with people's families at the slightest provocation. They didn't dare to be officials anymore. The emperor has arrived. Finally, the door to the throne room opened. The group of ministers gathered their thoughts and walked inside. Long live His Majesty! The ministers saluted. This time, their voices were much louder than before. Some of the ministers were afraid that Wang Zhong would be dissatisfied, so their voices were especially loud. Wang Zhong calmly swept his gaze across everyone present. Among these people, not many of them were clean. Even the people on Li Dang's side weren't clean. However, Li Dang's side was definitely not easy to deal with. Otherwise, if both sides were to beat him up, he wouldn't be able to put anyone in an important position. This wasn't in Wang Zhong's interest. Taking out the booklet, Wang Zhong said in an indifferent tone, "Let's not talk nonsense. I believe that all of you are aware of what happened last night. My uncle, Lu Zhongbua, had actually joined forces with some of the ministers to force me to abdicate. Fortunately, I had already predicted their crafty plot and foiled their plot in advance. Ministers, do you have anything to say?" No one dared to speak. Many people knew that their buttocks weren't clean. How would they dare to say anything? Since no one says anything, I will say it. In this book is a list of those who are in cahoots with Lu Zhongbua. Some of them are corrupt, some bully the people, and some want to harm me. Wang Zhong purposely exaggerated the matter. With every sentence he said, the hearts of the people below started to beat faster. Several people's legs even began to tremble. They were anxious. What if the emperor punished them? According to the evidence in this book, many of you can be skinned and stuffed with feces. I am really angry. However, I have already killed too many people. If I continue to kill, I'm afraid the people will feel cold. When the people below heard this, most of the ministers felt relieved. Wasn't this a hint that they wouldn't kill anymore? Su Daming hurriedly knelt down. "This sinner deserves 10,000 deaths. Please forgive me, Your Majesty." Su Daming had been investigated by Wang Zhong long ago. After that, he became a traitor and rebelled against Lu Zhongbua's army. At this moment, it was time for him to show his loyalty. "Of course you deserve to die 10,000 times, but since you admit your mistake, I will give you a chance. However, you must hand over your embezzlement. If you are found to have deceived me again, you will end up like Lu Pingying." Hearing this, Su Daming heaved a sigh of relief. Although he had lost a lot of money, at least he and his family were safe. Everyone else, listen up. I don't want to kill anymore. I'll give you 3 days to hand over your illegal gains. After 3 days, if I find any problems, don't blame me for being merciless. This subject thanks Your Majesty for your mercy. The ministers shouted. All right, the court is dismissed. I'll give you 3 days to prepare. You don't have to attend the morning court in these 3 days. Over the next 3 days, the ministers immediately handed over their property. Those who couldn't hand it over could only sell their houses, divorce their concubines, and even write IOUs to the national treasury. Of course, Wang Zhong also had the Eastern faction guards investigate openly and secretly to ensure that no one was cheating. During this time, Wang Zhong gave the Eastern faction guards a large sum of money and had them start recruiting people. Wang Zhong's plan was for the Eastern faction guards to be something like an anti-corruption organization. In the end, why did these ministers start rebelling? Why did they cause the people to suffer? Wasn't it because they were too greedy? If they were too greedy, their lives would rot, and their selfishness would swell. Thus, with an anti-corruption organization, they would be able to kill off this trend in a short period of time. As for the Lu family, 7 days later, after taking over the Lu family's property, Lu Zhongbua and his sons were escorted to the execution ground. There was nothing to be done about it. His sons had all participated in the rebellion, so they were prepared to be executed. A few prison carriages were moving on the street. Countless people on both sides of the street scrambled to see this important person who used to be second only to one person and above tens of thousands of people in the imperial court. Wise emperor, wise emperor. Such a corrupt official has finally been eliminated. I hope that in the future, more of these beasts with a human face will die. Smash them. One of the daring ants threw out the mud that she had prepared beforehand. Someone also threw stones, which smashed Lu Zhongbua and his sons' heads and made them bleed. At night, in the harem, Wang Zhong brought people to the Phoenix Palace to see his mother, Lu Huan, whom he hadn't seen for a long time. Greetings, mother. Wang Zhong bowed respectfully. He hadn't been here for a few days. This place was not as warm as before, and it was less lively than before. This was because the people here were not allowed to go out, and the people outside were not allowed to come in. Empress Dowager Lu Huan was completely under house arrest. You still have the face to call me mother. Lu Huan pointed her sharp nails at Wang Zhong, her voice trembling. Well, although you don't qualify, there is this layer of relationship. Wang Zhong waved his hand, and Empress Dowager he behind him brought out a box. Mother, this time I came here to bring you a gift. What is this? Looking at the box, Lu Huan had a bad premonition in her heart, because the bottom of the box was bleeding. Mother, just open it and take a look. Lu Huan took a deep breath, walked to the side of the box, and opened it. Inside was a human head. It was the head of her brother, Lu Zhongbua. Ah! Lu Huan was so frightened that she took a few steps back. Bastard, bastard, you actually killed your uncle. He was your uncle. How could Lu Huan not know what Wang Zhong had done? For a moment, her face was full of malevolence. Wang Zhong smiled and said, Mother, you don't have to be happy for me. Lu Zhongbua had no respect for the law, and he led people to plot against me, so I personally sent him on his way. Oh right, his sons were also beheaded by me, and the rest of his family were all sent to the border. Although Wang Zhong didn't kill Lu Zhongbua's family, he couldn't let them stay here, so Wang Zhong sent them to the border, not allowing them to take half a step into the country. How can you be so ruthless? How can you do this? Because if I don't do this, I'm afraid I'll follow in the footsteps of my two brothers. Wang Zhong said indifferently. All right, mother, I know that you and uncle have a deep relationship, so I brought his head for you to mourn. I hope that mother will take care of your body, and don't be angry. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. Wang Zhong turned around and left. Behind him, Lu Huan's painful screams came, Let me out, let me out. Although nothing major happened these days, Wang Zhong couldn't stay idle. There was too much work to do at the moment. The first job was to count the money that the officials had embezzled. The amount was huge, which made it difficult to count the money. Especially when there was a lack of manpower, the work efficiency was even lower. Fortunately, this matter wasn't urgent. After all, the money was in the national treasury, so it couldn't run away. The second job was to trade in the clothing factory. Now, thousands of cotton-padded clothes had been produced, and the weather was turning cold. Wang Zhong thought that it was about time to sell them. Wang Zhong handed this job to Zhao Wan, who was quite knowledgeable about clothing. The third job was to train female slaves. The men of the captured officials' families were slaves, and these men were easy to deal with. They were all dragged to the mines to dig iron. Although this era was backward, iron was already produced. With this free labor, the mining speed was faster. Most of the women were sent to the brothel, but before that, Wang Zhong set up a training and hygiene system. In the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave, there had to be a doctor to check their bodies regularly. If there was an infectious disease, they would be quarantined immediately. If it was serious, they would have to close down. The fourth job was to train the soldiers. In the camp outside the capital, when Mengti was training the soldiers, He Taigao came with a few young eunuchs. Eunuch He, you're here. You've worked hard. Please come in. Seeing He Taigao, Mengti quickly invited him in. Now that the emperor was in power, He Taigao was Wang Zhong's closest companion, so his status naturally rose. Countless people tried to curry favor with him, hoping that he could say a few good words in front of Wang Zhong. However, He Taigao was very polite to Mengti. It was very simple. Wang Zhong repeatedly praised Mengti in front of him. Moreover, Mengti was Empress Zhao Jejun's servant, so he naturally had to be polite. General Mengti, you're too polite. I'm working for the emperor. How can I say that it's hard work? He Taigao said with a smile, but he still followed Mengti into the camp. He praised him as he walked. You're worthy of being praised by the empress. I see that in just a few days, the soldiers in General Mengti's camp are full of vigor. They're much stronger than before. Eunuch He, you're joking. It's all thanks to the emperor. If he hadn't killed so many corrupt officials, there wouldn't be today's situation. Of course, but General Mengti, you don't have to be modest. Otherwise, the emperor wouldn't have asked me to come and reward you. Only then did He Taigao reveal the purpose of his visit. Speaking of this, He Taigao carefully took out the imperial edict from his sleeve. General Mengti, accept the imperial edict. Mengti welcomes the imperial edict. Mengti didn't dare to neglect and quickly knelt down. He Taigao opened the imperial edict and read aloud, By the will of the heavens, the emperor decrees that Mengti has trained the soldiers and saved the emperor. I'm deeply gratified. I'll give Mengti a house in the capital. I'll also give Mengti the title of Protector of the country. Protector of the country, he could lead an army. This number was much better than the position of city guard. Mengti was overjoyed. I thank the emperor for his grace. Long live the emperor. Master Mengti, the emperor is really good to you. I hope you won't disappoint the emperor. All right, the emperor also has a verbal order. Please speak, Eunuch He. Recently, the emperor will allocate a sum of military funds. He hopes you can recruit a group of new soldiers. I'll obey. Mengti nodded. This was the first task the emperor gave him. He must do it well. Chapter 634. These days, Wang Zhong was very leisurely. Every morning, he would listen to the minister's reports, deal with court affairs, and read memorials. As the weather got colder, the cotton clothes produced by the clothing factory were officially sold to the public. These matters were managed by the empress. Wang Zhong was now developing firearms. Although there was no war at the moment, according to past situations, every winter, the nomads from the north would come to the border to plunder. Wang Zhong did not want to be without a trump card when the time came. Fortunately, because he was the emperor, he could immediately gather the best blacksmiths in the country to make weapons for him. In a short period of time, he had already made 10 samples of firearms. However, what made Wang Zhong frown was that these firearms were not very good. The reason was simple: the quality of iron in this world was relatively backward. In the past, he was able to make qualified firearms because of his iron skills. However, this world was too backward. Iron was not only a high-grade metal here, but many soldiers even used bronze weapons. Due to the poor quality of iron, the barrels would occasionally explode when shooting, which made Wang Zhong very vexed. In the future, focus on refining iron for me. You must remove the impurities and make qualified weapons. Wang Zhong instructed the blacksmiths, then left the blacksmith shop in the palace. After leaving the blacksmith shop, Wang Zhong suddenly felt that the weather outside was a bit cold. Emperor, the weather is cold. Be careful not to catch a cold. Not far away, Zhao Wan walked over with a coat in her hand. She helped Wang Zhong put it on. Emperor, this is the cotton clothes that the empress sewed herself. Ning interrupted. Ning don't interrupt. Zhao Wan reprimanded. Sorry, empress. Ning stuck out her tongue. Wang Zhong smiled. Empress, thank you for your hard work. This coat is very warm. It's also very beautiful. This is the first time this old servant has seen such beautiful cotton clothes. The empress's craftsmanship is really good. He Taigao inadvertently flattered. As long as the emperor likes it. It's almost the snow season. The emperor needs to keep warm. It's not good if you catch a cold. Zhao Luan said. Yes. Wang Zhong let out a long sigh. He suddenly thought that if it was so cold here, what about the commoners? Although in the memorials sent by the ministers, they all said that the people lived and worked in peace and contentment, and there were no problems. However, Wang Zhong felt that seeing was believing. Perhaps it would be better to go out in such a cold winter to see the hardships of ordinary people. Your Majesty, I don't know why you're sighing. Can you tell me and let this concubine share your worries? Zhao Luan asked. Empress, Zhan suddenly wants to leave the palace and take a look. Leave the palace? Yes, it's such a cold winter. I wonder how the people outside are doing. If I can learn a thing or two, I will be able to treat the illness in the future. Your Majesty understands the suffering of the people. This old servant truly admires you. However, there are many dangers outside. If your Majesty wants to leave the palace, please think twice. He Taigao advised. Empress, what do you think? Wang Zhong asked. Chunqie will listen to your Majesty. Yes, Zhan will be going out for a few days. Go and prepare. Generally, no one could change Wang Zhong's decision. He Taigao didn't dare to say anything else. He nodded helplessly. This old servant will go and arrange it. After that, Wang Zhong dressed up as a noble young master. He Taigao and the other two palace experts dressed up as servants. What surprised Wang Zhong was that Zhao Luan also wanted to go. In her words, she knew martial arts and could protect Wang Zhong if she followed him. Thinking that it would be good to have more people to chat with, he brought Zhao Luan along. Wang Zhong was becoming more and more like an emperor. Even if he was wearing casual clothes, one could feel the oppressive aura of nobility from afar. All of you, listen carefully. When His Majesty and Her Highness leave the palace together, there are many thieves outside. Keep your eyes open. If you see any blind person approaching His Majesty and Her Highness, don't be polite. If His Majesty and Her Highness lose a single hair, you don't need to live. Do you understand? Before they left, He Taigao spoke to a group of guards. From this, it could be seen that He Taigao was very loyal to Wang Zhong. After that, He Taigao led everyone and followed Wang Zhong out of the palace. This time, they left the palace quietly. No one knew. Before they left, He Taigao instructed a few trusted aides to announce to the public that His Majesty wasn't feeling well these few days and was staying in the Empress's palace to rest for a while. This way, it could be considered an explanation to the public. Steamed buns, warm steamed buns. Sesame seed cake. My sesame seed cake is big and sweet. Big cucumber, crispy and sour cucumber. The streets of the capital were bustling with business. There were vendors on both sides of the street. They were all shouting for their goods. Wang Zhong held Zhao Luan's hand. As they walked, they enjoyed the scenery along the street. Speaking of which, this was the first time Wang Zhong had walked around in such a leisurely manner. In the past, he always left the palace to handle matters. This time, he decided to walk slowly. Waiter, how much is this tonghulu? Wang Zhong asked as they walked to a stall selling tonghulu. The stall owner could tell that Wang Zhong's status was not low. He said respectfully, Sir, tonghulu is 3 coins per skewer. Okay, 3 skewers. After Wang Zhong finished speaking, He Taigao sensibly took out the money. Thank you, sir. Wang Zhong bought the tonghulu and gave it to Zhao Luan. Luan, this is for you. Thank you, husband. Before they left, they had agreed to call each other Luan, and husband. As for He Taigao and the others, they directly called Wang Zhong sir. Zhao Luan took the tonghulu and found that Wang Zhong did not eat it. She asked curiously, Husband, you don't want to eat it? I don't like to eat sweet things. Pfft. Zhao Luan laughed. Actually, I don't like to eat sweet things either. But since you gave it to me, I like to eat it. Wang Zhong laughed involuntarily. Since you don't like it, you don't have to force yourself. As he spoke, Wang Zhong found a few children playing on the side of the road. These children were wearing shabby clothes. In front of them were some potatoes, carrots, and other vegetables that could be preserved easily. At this moment, they were looking at the passers-by with anticipation, hoping that they would buy their things. Seeing Wang Zhong looking at them, the children looked at the tonghulu in Zhao Wan's hand with anticipation. "Sir, there are delicious potatoes here. Do you want to buy some?" An older child plucked up his courage and came over to ask. In the cold winter, Wang Zhong could see that these children were wearing thin clothes. Their small hands were red from the cold. Especially their feet, they were wearing breathable straw sandals. Wang Zhong thought of the children in modern society. Children of this age should be sitting in a warm classroom and receiving education. It seemed that compulsory education had to be popularized as soon as possible. If a country wanted to be strong, young people were the key. If the young people wanted to be strong, education was the key. Currently, there were many shortcomings in the education system in Great Yen Dynasty. The imperial examinations here tested calligraphy, poetry, sentence formation, and so on. What was the use of learning these? He still remembered the 8-legged essay in the Ming Dynasty. Countless examinees learned this, and their minds were shackled. Even the top scholar did not know anything about management after he became an official. He was not suitable to be an official at all. Although Great Yen Dynasty did not have 8-legged essay, it was similar. It was useless for managing the government and society in the future. Wang Zhong felt that the best education, apart from learning how to read, was mathematics the most important thing. Throughout the history of all the powerful countries, there was no country that was built with poor mathematics. First, there were outstanding mathematicians. Then, there were physics, chemistry, and other scientists. Mathematics was the key to building everything. However, this country's mathematics was terrible. The only people who were good at mathematics in the palace were a few teachers and eunuchs. It was not strange for eunuchs to be good at mathematics. In fact, eunuchs had been highly intellectual since ancient times. This was because eunuchs were equivalent to their masters' secretaries. They handled all kinds of matters for their masters. Let's compare this eunuch to He Taigu. He had to draft imperial edicts, calculate the treasury's silver, and read memorials for Wang Zhong. When Wang Zhong was busy, he even had to help deal with some minor matters related to memorials. If he was illiterate, how could he be a good eunuch? Therefore, Wang Zhong decided to reform the education system. He set up 2 subjects, language and mathematics. For language, as long as one could read and write, the requirements were not high. For mathematics, one had to learn the multiplication table. Later on, one had to promote the abacus. Profound aspects of mathematics had to be taught. However, these things could not be achieved for the time being. The national strength was too weak. Wang Zhong could not become rich in one go. He had to take it slow. "How dare you? Get lost. Don't block my way." When He Taigao saw the child approaching Wang Zhong, he immediately reprimanded him. Wang Zhong blocked He Taigao and said with a frown, "It's just a child. There's no need to lower yourself to his level." "Yes, master." He Taigao lowered his head and took a step back. However, he kept his eyes on the child approaching Wang Zhong. If the child did anything harmful to Wang Zhong, he would make a move immediately. The child looked at He Taigao fearfully. Naturally, he did not dare to get close to Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong said, "Do you want candied haws?" "Chem." When the children heard this, they hastily nodded. "Here you go." When Zhao Wan heard this, she passed the candied haws in her hand to them. She also bought all the candied haws and distributed them to the children. When he saw the children wolfing down the candied haws, Wang Zhong sighed softly. The Great Yen Dynasty seemed powerful, but in truth, the people were resentful. This was because children were the hope of a family. Most parents would rather starve themselves than let their children eat more to grow up. It was obvious these children were malnourished. They often went hungry. It was not hard to imagine how poor their living conditions were. After all, this was the capital of a nation. Even the children here did not have a good life, let alone those who lived in the countryside. Wang Zhong's current plan was to build a factory to manufacture ironware. Only when the production capacity was developed would the people's living standards improve. Wang Zhong did not buy anything for the children. This was because it would only treat the symptoms and not the root cause. After taking a few steps, Wang Zhong asked, "Great companion, how do those children look like in the capital?" Chapter 635. This old servant has always been in the palace. I really don't know about this, He Taigao said awkwardly. I have a rough idea. Those children should be from the countryside. The conditions in the countryside are tougher. However, many families in the capital haven't had it easy either. The weather has been abnormal these few years, and everyone's harvest hasn't been good, Zhao Wan said from the side. Wang Zhong nodded silently. He thought to himself, I have to think of a way to increase everyone's harvest. At the end of the day, the great Yan dynasty was still an agricultural society. The harvest was very important to the farmers. Let's go get something to eat first. Wang Zhong stepped into a rather large inn. Sir, how many people are there? The waiter ran over eagerly. However, before he could get close to Wang Zhong, He Taigao stopped him. Stay away from my master. Yes, yes. With a single glance, the waiter could tell that Wang Zhong wasn't an ordinary person. Such a person would have a lot of money. If he were to meet a good one and served him well, he would be able to casually reward him with a few pieces of silver. This could be considered a decent income. Just the few of us. Give me a good seat downstairs, Wang Zhong said. All right, let's go to the east. It's near the window. All right. After they were seated, Wang Zhong casually ordered a few dishes. The waiter smiled and went to prepare them. Wang Zhong and Zhao Wan were the only ones sitting at the table. He Taigao and the others sat at the two tables beside them. A group of people blocked Wang Zhong and Zhao Wan's table to prevent outsiders from getting close. Wang Zhong was amused. He Taigao was good at everything, but he was too careful. At this moment, the storyteller in the inn began to talk. He listened carefully. The storyteller seemed to be talking about how he confiscated Lu Pingying's property and executed her. The audience cheered and applauded when they heard this. A wise ruler is alive. Ever since Lu Pingying died, the Lu faction has been terrorized. The storyteller's story was quite mysterious. Many things did not add up. He only had a rough idea. However, Zhao Wan listened with great interest and even asked Ning to tip him with a piece of silver. Luan, this person is just spouting nonsense. Why are you rewarding him? Wang Zhong laughed in spite of himself. He made you sound so impressive. Of course, he should be rewarded. Soon, the dishes were served. The food here was not bad, but it was not as good as the ones in the palace. It was no wonder. Not to mention that the chefs in the palace were carefully selected. Even the ingredients were not ordinary. It would be strange if they were not delicious. Husband, where are we going after eating? Zhao Wan asked. Let's take a carriage out of the city and take a look at the countryside. After seeing the lives of the people in the city, he naturally wanted to go to the countryside to take a look. Wang Zhong had always had an idea, and that was how to increase the production of land. In this society, no one was lazy. Everyone worked hard. However, due to the weather, the crop yield was not high. But was that really the reason? Wang Zhong remembered that the royal family's fertile land had a good yield. There must be something fishy going on. The biggest fishy thing might be the uneven distribution of land. There were too many landlords, and the grain produced was too much for a few people. As for those who rented land, they could only work for others. They could not save much money in a year. As such, once the weather was bad or there was a disaster, there would be victims. Hence, Wang Zhong thought, fight the rich and divide the land. However, this involved too many people, and he had to do it step by step. Waiter, this is for you. After finishing his meal, Wang Zhong handed the waiter 2 or 3 pieces of silver. The waiter was delighted. Thank you, master. Master wants to ask you something. How's your business recently? Young master, the weather has been cold recently, so there are fewer people coming to drink. The waiter did not know why Wang Zhong asked such a question, but he still answered truthfully. Master, please do me a favor and give me some food. My child has not eaten for a few days. Do me a favor and give him a bun. At this moment, a few beggars came to the door. They looked quite pitiful. Go, go, go. Where did these beggars come from? Get lost. The waiter wanted to chase them away. Wang Zhong stopped him and said, Hey, they are all poor people. Why are you chasing them away? How many buns do you have? I'll buy them all and send them to them. Young master is kind-hearted. I understand. The waiter did not dare to delay and hurriedly went to clean up. The diners at the other tables looked at the beggars and shook their heads. Hey, what's the use of copying so many corrupt officials? Who knows how many people will freeze to death this winter? Isn't that so? It's better not to copy. At least those corrupt officials will pretend to be benevolent sometimes. Hey, I heard that the Lu River in Lu City has frozen. Many people can't survive and have come out to beg. If this continues, the world will be in chaos. The border is not peaceful these days. Many people have escaped. They say that there are bandits robbing and killing from time to time. Most importantly, the guards don't care. Hey! The emperor is too muddle-headed. Lower your voice. Now that the emperor has put the Eastern Depot in an important position, if the people there hear you, they will be in big trouble. Hearing these people's words, He Taigao walked to Wang Zhong's side and whispered, Emperor, let's teach them a lesson. No need. Let's go. Wang Zhong shook his head. These diners were right. Arresting a few corrupt officials was satisfying, but it did not help improve the lives of the people. After walking out, Zhao Wan sighed and said, Husband, don't worry. I believe that things will get better in the future. Unfortunately, time waits for no man. Just like what those diners said, in such cold weather, who knows how many people will die? As he spoke, Wang Zhong's eyes flashed coldly. There was no way to solve the problem now, but at least the situation could be stabilized by preventing the bandits from robbing. Secondly, there was the disaster relief. A few days ago, Wang Zhong checked the state treasury. There was still a lot of food and fodder. He could consider opening it. In addition, he remembered that according to the previous national system, every big city had to have a reserve of food in case of emergency. While he was thinking, Wang Zhong and the others left the city. Along the way, Wang Zhong saw many beggars. Sir, please do us a favor. This is my daughter. She's very smart. Give her food and she can even be a maid. This is my son. If anyone wants him, I won't be able to raise him. Along the way, there were many people selling their children. Zhao Wan was secretly shocked when she saw this. If this continued, the great Yan dynasty would be in trouble. Soon enough, Wang Zhong arrived at the edge of a village. Just as he was about to enter, something happened at the entrance of the village. Wang Zhong's expression darkened. In front of him was a young master dressed in brocade clothes. He was leading a group of lackeys to drag a girl away. Wang Xiaoni, your parents owe my family a year's worth of land rent. Since they don't have money to pay it back, you're here to pay the debt. The young master chuckled as he shouted. Along the way, many people stopped to watch this scene. However, no one dared to step forward. Young Master Yi, the harvest this year isn't good. Please be magnanimous and let my Xiaoni go. She's only 12 years old. Beside the girl, a middle-aged man and woman cried out loudly as they stood. F***CK. One of the lackeys reacted quickly and kicked the man to the ground. Who do you think you are? How can you be so unreasonable when you owe the land rent? It's a blessing that my young master has taken a liking to your daughter. Get lost. Sob, sob, sob. Father, mother. Wang Xiaoni was sobbing. She was too weak and frail. She could not win against these big men at all. She was about to be taken away. Meanwhile, The so-called young Master Yi pointed at the middle-aged man and woman arrogantly and shouted, "How dare you be unreasonable with me? I won't rent the land to you next year. Let's see what you're going to do." When Zhao Wan saw this, she could not stand it anymore. "Husband, I know He Taigao. This old servant is here. In the name of the imperial envoy, capture this brat and interrogate him. Which family's son is he? Why is he so insensible? This old servant obeys." He Taigao's eyes flashed with viciousness. In the past, the emperor did not empathize with the people. As a lowly servant, he also helped the emperor to mess around. But now, the emperor was wholeheartedly serving the people. As a qualified lowly servant, he naturally had to help the emperor. Then, He Taigao walked over with 2 guards. Bang! He Taigao grabbed the young master's neck and shouted, "The imperial envoy is handling a case. Unrelated people, get out of the way." Imperial envoy. The restrained young Master Ye's expression changed. "Sir, is there a misunderstanding? My family is the Yi family. My father is the famous landlord Yi in town. He has a good relationship with many officials. That's right, I'm capturing you." He Taigao did not care who he knew. He struck him with his palm and knocked him out. The other lackeys wanted to save him, but the guards drew their swords on the spot. They were so scared that they did not dare to move. After that, Wang Zhong let the 2 guards take the brat back while he led the others into the village. "Wang Xiaoni, you're safe. Don't be afraid." Zhao Wan comforted Wang Xiaoni. "Thank you, sister. You guys are so nice," Wang Xiaoni said in fear. "The imperial envoy is here. The imperial envoy is here." In a moment, many people in the village came to see Wang Zhong. They did not know that the Wang Zhong in front of them was the current emperor. But in their impression, the emperor spent all day in the palace. Why would he come to their remote corner? If it was the imperial envoy, then it would be easier to explain. "This commoner is the village chief here, Wu Yuyong. Greetings, imperial envoy." The village chief ran over and quickly knelt down. "No need to be so courteous. The weather is so cold now. The emperor is worried that the people will suffer. So, he ordered me to come and take a look. If you have any difficulties, just tell me." Wang Zhong said with a smile. Because Wang Xiaoni's parents were just rescued, they trusted Wang Zhong a lot. They said to the villagers, "That's right. Just now, the young master of the Yi family wanted to capture our Xiaoni. It was this man who saved us." Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up. They all told Wang Zhong, "Sir, the rent is too expensive. This year's harvest is not good. The Yi family forced us to pay the rent. My house is leaking. I don't know how we will survive this winter. Sir, this is my daughter. Please take her in. She can do laundry and cook." Chapter 636. Wang Zhong did not expect the people to have so many questions. It should be noted that this was near the capital. Even so, there were already many disaster victims. "Don't worry, everyone. I've noted down your questions. I'll report them to the emperor and give you an explanation." The sky was getting dark by the time Yongming left. However, Wang Zhong did not return. Instead, he found a nearby inn to stay. In the next few days, Wang Zhong brought his men to the nearby villages to understand the situation before returning. When he returned to the palace, he had investigated the Yi family. In truth, it was easy to investigate. The Yi family was a famous landowner in that area. They owned thousands of acres of fertile land. Due to their wealth, the Yi family was on good terms with many high-ranking officials in the imperial court. Due to the excessive concentration of fertile land in the Yi family's hands, the people in the surrounding area had no land to farm. They could only rent the land from the Yi family. However, if there were disasters, the people would not be able to pay the rent. Even so, the Yi family used their influence to force the people to pay the rent. This caused the people to be furious. After learning about this, Wang Zhong became even more determined to divide the land. Subsequently, Wang Zhong looked for Zhao Wan and told her his plan. Divide the land. When she heard Wang Zhong's words, Zhao Wan was shocked. Your Majesty, dividing the land from the landowners will cause chaos. I'm afraid the landowners will rebel. I know it will cause chaos. That's why I'm thinking of a way to divide the land. Wang Zhong stomped his feet a few times. In his impression, it wasn't something an emperor should do, as doing so would cause instability in the situation. However, if he did not do this, it would be difficult for the great Yan dynasty to increase its strength. By the way, Your Majesty, how are you going to deal with the evil young master of the Yi family? Zhao Wan asked. Wang Zhong's heart skipped a beat. That's right. There's still him. Wang Zhong suddenly smiled. I know how to deal with the landowners. You know, Your Majesty? Zhao Wan's eyes widened. She was curious. It's true that land reform will cause chaos among the landowners. In that case, I'll deal with them one by one. Although it's slower, it's safer. Zhao Wan was a smart woman. After hearing Wang Zhong's words, she instantly understood Wang Zhong's intentions. Quite a few of these landlords are not clean in the dark. If we can break them one by one and clean them up one by one, it would indeed be a good idea. Let's start with this. Young Master Yi. At this moment, in the Yi residence, the Yi clan had occupied this place for over 100 years. There was no one in the vicinity who did not know of them. The Yi family had many descendants. Some were talented, some were low-ranking officials, but most of them were ignorant and incompetent. However, no matter how many ignorant and incompetent people there were, and how many bad things they had done, the Yi family was still very powerful. Even the nearby county magistrate had to be polite to them. But today, everyone in the Yi clan was on high alert, especially the Yi clan's patriarch, Yi Zhongsu, who was listening to the news that the housekeeper had gathered. Master, the young master was caught on the spot by the imperial envoy when he was trying to kidnap a commoner girl. He was taken away at that time. After so many days, he finally knew the whereabouts of his youngest son. Yi Zhongsu had a headache and rubbed his forehead. His youngest son was his favorite son. He did not expect him to cause such a big trouble. If it was in the past, he would have asked a few officials he was familiar with to go and rescue him. But now, he could not do so. Recently, the emperor had killed many corrupt officials, causing the entire court to be in a state of panic. Not to mention accepting bribes, they did not even dare to take a single grain of sesame. Asking them to rescue him, what were they thinking? Moreover, Yi Zhongsu did not dare to rescue him in the limelight. Thus, he immediately said to the housekeeper, "Tell everyone to come out. I want to announce something." Master, what is it? In the future, I will no longer have this son. I will expel him from the family. Ah! The housekeeper was stunned. But seeing the master's serious expression, he knew that this was the result of the master's careful consideration. I will immediately arrange it. Master, there are suddenly many soldiers outside the door. At this moment, a servant came to report. Yi Zhongsu's heart thumped. How many? There are many. They have surrounded us. Yi Zhongsu's heart sank. Come with me to take a look. Walking out of the door and seeing the countless soldiers, Yi Zhongsu felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. His son really caused trouble. The leader was the East Factory supervisor, Xie Jin. He glanced at Yi Zhongsu and said, "Under the emperor's order, I came here to talk about something. I did not know that Gonggong would come. Please forgive me." Yi Zhongsu lowered his attitude and quickly invited Xie Jin to come in. After entering the room, Yi Zhongsu said to the servant, "Go and bring the best tea." "No need, Master Yi. I came here today to talk about something. I will leave once I finish. Gonggong, please speak clearly. If I, Yi Zhongsu, can do it, I will definitely help." Hee, it's like this. Your son caused some trouble. Relying on your Yi family's big business, he actually kidnapped a civilian girl. I heard about this matter. I am ashamed, so I just announced that he is no longer my son. Yi Zhongsu quickly expressed his position. Unfortunately, it's too late. Lord Yi, His Majesty is furious. He said that your big family has too many unfilial sons. Therefore, he ordered me to come over and confiscate your property. What? Yi Zhongsu's legs almost fell. After being supported by the servant, he knelt on the spot. Please have mercy, please have mercy. Master Yi, don't worry. The emperor is a wise ruler. He also knows that confiscating property for no reason is not a wise thing to do. However, your son has caused a lot of public anger. Yi Zhongsu heard that Xie Jin's words seemed to have room for negotiation. He quickly asked, Gong, please tell me what my Yi family should do. You also know that the current emperor got rid of many corrupt officials not long ago. Originally, the people were very happy. However, now that winter is coming, the weather is cold and the people are not stable. Originally, the emperor wanted to confiscate property. Fortunately, he is also afraid of killing innocent people. Yes. The emperor's kindness is vast and my Yi family will remember it. However, what do you want my Yi family to do? For the emperor, it's enough to appease the public anger. Your Yi family has so much land. Take out 2/3 of it and give it to the people. Ah! Yi Zhongsu was stunned. With an ugly expression, he said, 2/3. But this land was left behind by my Yi family's ancestors. Humph, the emperor has already checked. The land of your ancestors from 3 generations ago was less than half of what it is now. It was taken from the people bit by bit. Do you think the emperor doesn't know? Giving you a way out now is the emperor's kindness. Otherwise, if you cause public anger, don't blame the emperor for not giving you face. Gong, if the emperor can leave my Yi family's property, my Yi family is willing to give the emperor 1,000,000 silver as thanks. What? You want to bribe the emperor? Xie Jin sneered. Save it. The emperor is wholeheartedly serving the people. If he wants your silver, he won't take the land and give it to the people. Do you know that? If you have any other thoughts, don't blame me for not warning you. Alright, the emperor even gave you a map. Hand over the land deeds. Xie Jin slowly took out the map and smiled at Yi Zhongsu. Yi Zhongsu's mouth twitched. He wanted to refuse, but a group of soldiers had already surrounded his house. If they really shed all pretense of cordiality and came to confiscate his house, it would be really troublesome. Master Yi, why don't you accept it? Xie Jin said leisurely. I still have to go back and report to the emperor. Don't let the emperor wait. Gong, I understand. As the saying goes, the arm can't twist the leg. Xie Jin had already said so much. If he still didn't know what was good for him, it would be troublesome. Then, according to Xie Jin's map, Yi Zhongsu handed over 2/3 of the land deeds. Thank you, Master Yi. I will go back and report to the emperor. I will put in a good word for you. Yi Zhongsu pulled out an ugly smile. Thank you, Gong. By the way, since you have handed over the land deeds, I will return your precious son to you. These few days, the emperor gave him good food and drinks. He didn't make things difficult for him. After asking the servant to bring Yi Zhongsu's son, Xie Jin turned and left. Father. When the young man in the prison uniform saw his father, he quickly crawled over. I don't have a son like you. Yi Zhongsu sent him flying with a kick and roared angrily. Imperial Palace. Wang Zhong was correcting the memorials. Because there was a big reform in the palace recently, many memorials were sent to him one after another. Wang Zhong had to personally correct them. After reading a lot of memorials, Wang Zhong's frown became deeper and deeper. There were cases of people freezing to death in several places. Especially in some remote areas, there was a large number of bandits. These bandits were unusually arrogant. Not only did they rob the villagers, they also harassed the caravans along the way. Now, because there were no caravans going in and out of many areas, the prices in the city skyrocketed. There was not enough food. If this continued, not only would people freeze to death, they would also starve to death. Originally, Wang Zhong's plan was to divide the land. But after reading these memorials, he felt that there were 3 problems at hand. First, disaster victims. Second, bandits. Third, food. Food was the most important thing to the people. Without food, there would really be trouble. Sir, how is the purchase of food going these few days? Wang Zhong asked Taigao. We are purchasing, but the results are not ideal. Many large families say that they don't have any food on hand. But in this old servant's opinion, it is because they want to make a fortune from the country's disaster. Every time the country was in danger, some merchants would always stock up and raise the price of food to make a fortune from the country's disaster. Therefore, these few days, Wang Zhong wanted to buy food to help the disaster victims, but he couldn't get much food at all. Investigate the major families that are wholesaling food. I want to catch them all in one fell swoop. At this time, they still wanted to make money. If he didn't kill a few, how could he vent his anger? The next morning, the weather was cold and the ground was frozen. Dozens of ministers had been waiting at the entrance of the throne room for a long time, but the door was still not open. Sigh, I heard that there have been a lot of disaster victims recently. Several merchants came and said that their caravans were robbed, a minister said worriedly. That's not bad. The price of food in the city has doubled. Chapter 637. That's strange. Why didn't His Majesty attend the morning court session today? He used to inform us when he didn't attend the morning court session. What's going on today? A group of ministers said worriedly. Most of them were discussing how to survive this winter. Not to mention the deaths one after another. If the price of food skyrocketed, it would be a big problem. At this time, the door of the throne room suddenly opened. However, to everyone's surprise, Wang Zhong didn't let the ministers in. Instead, he walked out personally. This made the ministers confused. These people had been outside for so long and wanted to quickly enter the throne room to warm up. They didn't expect His Majesty to come out. Looking at his posture, it seemed that he wasn't going to let them in. Although they felt strange, no one dared to say anything. They could only stand in the bone-chilling wind. Some quick-witted ministers seemed to have guessed something. They quickly lowered their heads and waited for Wang Zhong to speak. Long live His Majesty! Long live His Majesty! Wang Zhong stood in front of the group of ministers and didn't let them rise. Instead, he felt the bone-chilling cold in the air and said lightly, Ministers, do you feel cold outside? Upon hearing his question, all of the ministers knew what Wang Zhong was talking about. A few of them replied humbly, Cold. Humph, in my opinion, you don't feel cold. Look at all of you, wearing cotton-padded clothes. How can you feel cold? These days, I went out for a trip. The scene really made me worried. The people suffered in the cold weather, starved, and frozen to death. But what about you? Who told me about this? Wang Zhong suddenly looked at Li Mingkai. Li Mingkai, when you were about to be beheaded that day, I immediately asked Eunuch He to save you. Why? Isn't it because I want you to assist me in the future, build my country, and care for my people? But until now, what have you done? Li Mingkai hurriedly knelt down. This old official is terrified. This old official has failed your Majesty's good intentions. This official deserves to die 10,000 deaths. I only ask your Majesty to give this old official a chance. This old official will do his best to benefit the common people. In fact, this Li Mingkai was relatively loyal, but after the fall of Lu Dang, he seemed to have lost his goal, thinking that he was trusted by Wang Zhong, and began to do things sloppily. If there was someone else, Wang Zhong wouldn't want to use such a person at all. However, he had no one on hand right now, so he could only reluctantly use him. Alright, I'll give you one last chance. I've heard that you've been an official for many years and know many merchants. I need them to donate some food. Can you convince them? I will do my best. Very good. Also, I hope you can find those unscrupulous merchants who are hoarding their goods. Do you understand? This official obeys your majesty. And all of you, I know that you have some shady dealings with some merchants. I can ignore what happened in the past, but now that the common people are suffering and have no way to make a living, I don't want anyone to profit from the country's disaster. Each of you must persuade some merchants to donate food and goods. Those who can't do it will be stripped of their official titles and sent to prison. Their properties will be searched and interrogated. Wang Zhong's words scared the group of officials so much that they broke out in cold sweat. Knowing that they couldn't get away with this, a few of the officials had merchant friends, so they hurriedly kowtowed and said they understood. They didn't have any merchant friends, so they were already thinking of how to trick those local tyrants and evil gentry. After all, with the previous example, no one wanted their properties to be searched. Of course, just donating food and goods isn't enough. I'm going to set up a foreign affairs department to buy food from some rich countries. Who has the experience to go overseas? Wang Zhong asked again. Your Majesty, those countries overseas are just barbarian countries. Buying food from these countries will damage the prestige of the great Yan dynasty, an old official said. Yes. Yes, yes. What surprised Wang Zhong was that many officials actually agreed with him. They were really a bunch of pedantic people. Looking at the faces of these officials, Wang Zhong felt more and more that he had to reform the imperial examination. He wanted to include mathematics, geography, and even the humanities of some neighboring countries. Pedantic and extremely ignorant. Wang Zhong pointed at this group of people. You said that they're barbarian countries. Then let me ask you, do you know how many people they have? What do they produce? What's their technology like? The officials looked at each other. They didn't know anything. You don't know anything, yet you call them barbarian countries. In my opinion, you're a bunch of frogs at the bottom of a well. If you don't understand other countries well, how can you learn from their strengths to make up for your weaknesses? This humble official knows his mistake. I'll definitely learn from your Majesty's teachings. Someone directly admitted his mistake. This humble official knows his mistake too. Please punish me, Your Majesty. Please punish me, Your Majesty. Forget it. In the next few days, choose a candidate for the coastal area. I want to use the tea leaves and porcelain produced in our country to trade for grain and fodder in the neighboring countries. If anyone can do this well, I'll make him the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He'll be in charge of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Trade. Any position that involved trade was basically a lucrative one. Some of the officials were tempted. This humble official has a candidate. This person is skilled in both civil and martial arts. He's familiar with the laws of Great Yan Dynasty. He'll definitely be qualified for this position. This humble official has a candidate as well. This person has experience in trading with the nomads. This humble official has experience as well. Bring all of them here. I'll test them one by one. Yes, Your Majesty. You're all dismissed. The group of officials left. When they left the palace, the officials sighed with emotion. The emperor had really changed. Previously, they thought the emperor was only trying to consolidate his power and status when he was fighting against corruption. Now, it seemed like he was not only trying to fight against corruption, but he was also trying to bring peace to the people of Great Yan Dynasty. Meanwhile, in the imperial harem, Zhao Luan had gathered everyone. Greetings, Your Majesty. The concubines and palace maids bowed to Zhao Luan in unison. You may rise. Feng Chengqing, who was standing at the head of the table, asked curiously, Your Majesty, may I know why you've summoned us? Zhao Luan replied coldly, I had a long chat with His Majesty last night. I learned that something has happened in the world, and His Majesty is very worried. In order to share His Majesty's burden, I summoned my sisters here to discuss this matter. Your Majesty, are you referring to the recent cold weather that caused many innocent people to freeze to death? Feng Chengqing asked. That's right. The concubines began to whisper among themselves. What does the outside world have to do with us? That's right. I've been doing needlework recently. I'm getting calluses on my hands. The imperial harem can't interfere in politics. What does this have to do with me? When she heard these words, Zhao Wan's expression turned cold. Although the imperial harem can't interfere in politics, we're sharing His Majesty's burden now. If the concubines don't think there's a need to share His Majesty's burden, you can tell me. I'll definitely make things clear to His Majesty. She was clearly saying that she would snitch on His Majesty. Immediately, the group of concubines didn't dare to speak. Your Majesty, I have a suggestion. Feng Chengqing stood up. She was now afraid of Wang Zhong, so she followed Zhao Wan's wishes. Please speak. Consort Chen. Since entering the palace, I've saved up some money. This concubine is willing to donate a portion to help with the disaster. That's a good idea. Zhao Wan nodded in satisfaction. She inwardly thought that Feng Chengqing was quite obedient after being lectured by Wang Zhong. Your daughter can be taught. But what surprised Zhao Wan was that even though Feng Chengqing said that she wanted to donate, the concubines didn't seem to have any intentions of donating. I don't have much money on hand. How about donating some clothes? Me too. The amount of money the palace gives to the imperial harem has decreased. I've also been very poor recently. I don't have any either. Zhao Wan sighed inwardly. People's hearts were still not united. It seems that my beloved concubines haven't been doing well recently. At this time, Wang Zhong walked in. In truth, he had been eavesdropping at the door for a while. He purposely did not let the eunuch call him over. The concubines looked at Wang Zhong guiltily. Then they bowed and said, Greetings, Your Majesty. Rise. Wang Zhong sat next to Zhao Wan. He was thinking about how to persuade the concubines to donate money. First of all, he was certain that these concubines had some savings. After all, they did not have much to spend in the palace. In the past, the national treasury would give them a lot of money every month for their daily necessities. In fact, they had saved all the money. If they did not donate it now, it would be the most common trait of the ancient people, short-sighted. These women did not even think about why they kept the money. If the great Yen dynasty fell, would they have a good life? According to historical records, once a dynasty fell, the emperor's concubines would be lusted after. They would even be given to the soldiers of the enemy nation. Their lives would be miserable. Unfortunately, they did not understand. Why was this so? There were two reasons for this. First, these women learned the zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. They did not know anything about those. Second, they did not study history. If they studied history and saw the mistakes of the ancient people, they might be able to change their thinking. Originally, the progress of mankind was learned through history. Suddenly, Wang Zhong's heart stirred. He knew how to persuade the concubines. Your Majesty, I think Consort Chen's suggestion is good. Now that the people have lost their homes, I think donating money can alleviate the desperate situation, Zhao Wan said. That's not bad. However, I'm afraid none of you have much money on hand, Wang Zhong said. Where did you spend the money that I gave you from the national treasury? I like rouge, so I spent most of my money on rouge, a concubine with a fair complexion said, feeling wronged. I like flowery clothes, so I bought some clothes to wear. After saying that, the woman in a pink dress sighed. She often bought flowery clothes to wear for Wang Zhong to see. It was a pity that the emperor had never paid her a visit. This concubine's silver has been used to help her family, another woman said. Looking at all of them, there were quite a lot of excuses. Zhao Wan looked embarrassed. She did not expect this. Just as she was about to grit her teeth and squeeze out some money to help the people in need, Wang Zhong said, I didn't expect my beloved concubines to have such a hard time. How about this? I'll sleep in the room of whoever can fork out the most money tonight. Chapter 638. Whoever offers the most silver, I will sleep there tonight. After he said that, everyone was shocked. This was especially the case for a few concubines who had never been favored. Their eyes lit up as they continuously sized up Wang Zhong. They were already considering how much they should bid in their hearts. Zhao Luan opened her mouth. She thought to herself that the emperor's mind was hard to read. After Wang Zhong said that, he felt helpless. This was the best idea he could come up with. After all, these women were his concubines. They had the status of concubines. If they made a mistake, they could be thrown into the cold palace. But they were fine. They just did not want to donate because they were selfish. He could not punish them, right? So, Wang Zhong thought of this idea. He was the emperor. If these concubines wanted to be successful, they had to be pregnant. So, if anyone wanted to sleep with him, they had to pay. Whoever offered the most, he would sleep with them. My beloved concubines, what do you think? Wang Zhong asked seriously. You are very busy. I am willing to share your worries. The concubine that said she liked to wear flowery clothes coughed and said, That. I suddenly remembered that there are a few hundred silver under the bed. Your Majesty, before this concubine married you, the family saved more than 1,000 taels of silver for this concubine. I do not have silver, but I have gold and silver jewelry that is worth 3,000 silver, another concubine said. Yes, that is 3,000 silver. Wang Zhong nodded. He almost said, Is there anything higher? Emperor, I can ask my father for some silver. I should be able to give you 100,000 silver. After she said that, the concubines were shocked. Wang Zhong was also stunned for a moment before looking over. This concubine was called Yu Fei. She was a rich girl that Luo Zhao met when he was traveling. They fell in love at first sight. He took Yu Fei to the palace. Before Luo Zhao started to love Yu Fei, he fell in love with Feng Chengqing. He was mesmerized by Feng Chengqing. After a long time, Yu Fei had almost forgotten what Wang Zhong looked like. Speaking of which, many of the women in the imperial harem were truly pitiful. They had only met the emperor once, but were brought into the palace. Although they enjoyed glory and wealth, they also lost their freedom. They were like canaries in a cage. Yu Fei's full name was Shen Yu. She came from a good family. That was why she was able to offer 100,000 silvers. When Chen Yu suddenly said so much money, the others didn't dare to say anything because they simply couldn't take out so much money. Wang Zhong immediately said, Yu Fei is so generous. You are helping me. I am happy. This concubine will go down immediately. Let the servants contact my father. This concubine will take her leave first. Shen Yu twisted her body and went down. The other girls took their leave one by one. That afternoon, sunlight that had not been seen for many days appeared in the sky. Although this ray of sunlight dispelled some of the cold, the temperature outside was still very low. Even so, there were still many children in thin clothes on the streets begging for food. There were also some peddlers selling things, hoping that people would buy their goods. Dang dang dang! At this time, suddenly, the sound of drums and gongs came from afar. The emperor's grace is vast. The emperor knows that the people are suffering. He ordered the imperial household department to take out food for the disaster relief. Every district has a place where you can get food for free. Everyone, go. The person who shouted was a soldier. Hearing the soldier's words, many people went to ask where they could get food for free. After the soldier told them the location, he shouted, Everyone go. I have to go to the next location to inform them. When news of the disaster relief spread, Wang Zhong's reputation improved. However, Wang Zhong also understood that although food could solve the immediate problem, in the long run, so many disaster victims would run out of food sooner or later. He needed to give the disaster victims something to do, a place to live, and cheap food to eat. At night, Wang Zhong went to the Rain Palace. The Rain Palace was where Shan Yu lived. It wasn't very big, but it was designed with ulterior motives. It looked very warm. Upon entering, Wang Zhong could smell a faint fragrance wafting through the air. Obviously, this was the smell of good sandalwood. Even the royal family didn't use this thing often because it was expensive. He didn't expect Shan Yu's palace to be able to afford it. Yu Fei welcomes the emperor. Shan Yu timidly looked at Wang Zhong. It was this person that she spent 100,000 taels of silver just to sleep with him for one night. Although it was expensive, it was worth it. Shan Yu wasn't without ambition. Otherwise, she wouldn't have come to the palace from so far away. But after coming to the palace, she found that the situation here was completely different from what she thought. The emperor had too many women. Although she was very short, the aesthetics here was slightly short. Compared to other short beauties, she wasn't that outstanding. Especially when the emperor seemed to have forgotten about her, which made her very depressed. Finally, the clouds parted and the moon shined. Fortunately, her family was rich. Spending 100,000 taels of silver was worth it. Emperor, this concubine has already prepared warm water for you. Take a bath. Shen Yu helped Wang Zhong take off his clothes. Thank you, Yu Fei. It's okay. To be honest, I've really wronged you these years. I'm not wronged. In fact, Shan Yu's heart was in a mess. But at this time, she could only force a smile. Little Yu, what kind of work have you been in charge of at the clothing factory recently? Since he had nothing to do, Wang Zhong casually asked. Answering the emperor, this concubine is responsible for external sales. Oh. I remember that this work is somewhat difficult. Wang Zhong was a little surprised. This concubine's family is the Shen family of Sea Salt City. My family has a fleet of ships that do external business and sell various materials. So, there is no problem with the channels. Well, if I have more virtuous helpers like you, I will be much more relaxed. Wang Zhong was very happy. He didn't expect that there was a little treasure like Shen Yu in the harem. No wonder Shan Yu could take out 100,000 taels of silver at once. But, the emperor, my family did say that business has become more and more difficult in the past 2 years. For example, external business. In recent years, there have been a lot more pirates. My cousin was killed by a group of pirates last year. It's not easy for the locals of Sea Salt City either. Seeing Shan Yu's hesitant look, Wang Zhong asked, My dear concubine, if you have something to say, just say it. We are all family. Why are you hesitating? This concubine is worried that the harem will be involved in politics. I am not that kind of pedantic person. As long as you have the ability, so what if the harem is involved in politics? Say it. Wang Zhong said with a smile. Then this concubine will say it. This concubine wants to make a small report. The lord of Sea Salt City, Sul Vai, imposed taxes and made the merchants there leave. Even my family was cheated. Later, when he saw that I married into the palace, Sul Vai restrained himself. Sul Vai. In his impression, Wang Zhong didn't know this person at all. It was conceivable that the original Luo Zhao didn't know much about the officials under him, especially in places where the emperor was far away. Moreover, this Sul Vai has an army. The reason why he wants to collect so much money is because he wants to raise his private army. According to my father, his private army is already more than 30,000. So many. Wang Zhong was also surprised. How did he raise so many private soldiers? Why don't my guards know about it? The guards were bribed by Sul Vai. In addition, his private soldiers were also sent out by him to trade with other countries. My father said that he may have more private soldiers in private. Yes. Wang Zhong washed his face as he pondered over this matter. At this time, it was definitely impossible to force Sul Vai to give up his military power, so he could only think of a way in the future. Your Majesty, my father only learned about this recently. I have always wanted to see you, but unfortunately, you are too busy. Shen Yu apologized. Well, if you want to find me in the future, you can go directly to the Empress. You two will support each other in the future, understand? Joy filled Shen Yu's heart. She knew that Wang Zhong's words meant that he had officially acknowledged her. Well, this concubine knows. That's right, you just said that your father has a fleet. How about this, let him come to see me. I have a big business and need people to do it. Wang Zhong wanted to go overseas to buy food, so a fleet was necessary. Well, I will let my servant go home tomorrow, but my home is far away, so it may take a lot of time. There is no hurry. You don't just wash my face, come in too. Ah. Shan Yu's face turned red. Although she was an imperial concubine and Wang Zhong was husband and wife, taking a bath together made her a little embarrassed. After all, the people here were more feudal. However, thinking that she could get the emperor's favor, she felt that there was no harm in being thick-skinned sometimes. So she nodded and took off her clothes. In the big bucket, the water swayed. For several days in a row, the ministers mobilized their relatives and friends to ask for food and clothing for the disaster relief. These high-ranking officials appeared to be submissive and timid in front of Wang Zhong, but in front of ordinary merchants, they struck out with their fists. Brother Li, I remember that you didn't even pay the taxes a year ago. Now that the emperor has found out, you should donate more. Otherwise, your house will be confiscated. Brother Sun, I usually don't ask for favors, but you must donate more this time. Brother Wu, 5 years ago, your son injured someone. You're talking about something that happened 5 years ago. I had no choice but to do so. Please donate more and contribute to the great Yen dynasty. Otherwise, your son will have to go to jail. Scenes like this appeared in the merchants' houses. Soon enough, the price of food in the capital was suppressed. However, this was not enough for Wang Zhong. The great Yen dynasty was huge. The capital alone was not enough. 5 days later, the ministers recommended the leaders of the Foreign Affairs Department to meet the emperor in the palace. There were a total of 5 people. According to the introductions of the ministers, these 5 people were all very capable and talented. Greetings, Your Majesty. Long live Your Majesty. Inside the throne room, these people greeted Wang Zhong in unison. I heard from your referees that all of you are very powerful. In that case, let me test all of you. Chapter 639. Even though they were scolded by Lei Yang in a roundabout way, Octopus and Polar Bear did not dare to say a word. The reason was simple. They were all boxers, and boxers respected strength. Moreover, Lei Yang was ruthless. Most of the boxers who fought with him ended up in a miserable state. The two of them had experienced it before. Fortunately, they had swallowed their pride and admitted that they were inferior. That was why Lei Yang was not ruthless. At that moment, the two of them naturally did not dare to say anything. As Lei Yang strode out, Lei Qingshan said in a deep voice, "Cripple that kid's legs to prevent him from causing trouble in the future." "Yes." Lei Yang responded. He walked to the bottom of the stage, stomped his foot, and leaped up. "Scar, after this fight is over, we should talk about business." Lei Qingshan no longer looked at his son, but at Scar. "Do you think that our business is over just because you found a retard to block the bullet for you?" Lei Qingshan was all smiles, looking as though he had Scar under his control. Scar's face turned ugly. "Lei Qingshan, you heard what that kid said. Even if he loses, he will be the one paying for the bet. It has nothing to do with me." "What do you take me, Lei Qingshan, for? Do you think it has nothing to do with you? I'll say this. If this kid can pay, I'll leave immediately. If he can't, you will pay for it. It's fine if you can't. I want this bar." "Lei Qingshan, aren't you being too much of a bully?" Scar said in a deep voice. "Humph. A wise man submits to circumstances. Scar, what kind of experts do you have under you now? Quit while you still have some money. We can still be friends in the future. Otherwise, humph." The threat was self-evident. On the stage, Wang Tsong looked calm in the face of Lei Yang's imposing aura. Almost everyone in the audience supported Lei Yang. "Let's begin." Wang Tsong raised his arm. Lei Yang's face was ferocious. He stomped on the ground and charged forward. His body was like a bomb as he charged at Wang Tsong fiercely. A Muay Thai expert's moves were usually simple, but every move was ruthless. Rumor had it that if he really wanted to kill, his elbow and knee attacks could instantly break the enemy's bones. The crowd below was so nervous that their hearts were in their throats. Some kind-hearted people lamented that Wang Tsung's bones were probably going to be broken. However, Wang Tsung was not nervous in front of everyone. Bang! Wang Tsung easily caught Lei Yang's fist. The originally arrogant Lei Yang's expression changed drastically, and he actually retreated over 3 meters. How could you block my attack? Lei Yang was in disbelief. His eyes suddenly narrowed. After practicing martial arts for so long, other than his master, he had never met a worthy opponent. I don't like people who can take my punch, not even one punch. So, I've decided to break your bones. Lei Yang seemed to have given Wang Tsung a death sentence. Then, with a loud shout, the veins on his arms bulged, and his dark skin bulged with firm muscles. Below the stage, Lei Qingshan stood up excitedly. Open your eyes and take a look. My son is going to use his master's secret technique, Elephant Tie Fist. The few big shots around him hurriedly flattered him. I didn't expect Gu Ba to teach Lei Yang his famous technique, the Mustang Fist. Master Ku Ba thinks highly of Lei Yang. Yeah. Knife Scar drank a cup of wine bitterly, and thought in disdain, isn't it just because he has Ku Ba, this great Buddha? If not for Ku Ba's teachings, would your son be so powerful? Just as he was thinking, Lei Yang suddenly exclaimed from the stage. How is this possible? Lei Yang's arm was already grabbed by Wang Kong. Wang Tsung suddenly lifted his leg and smashed it directly on Lei Yang's chin. Bang! Lei Yang flew backward, and a few of his teeth were even knocked out. You've only learned a little, but you don't know the true profoundness of martial arts. Wang Tsung stood with his hands behind his back, and another kick landed on Lei Yang's chest. Ah! From the looks of it, Lei Yang's ribs were all broken. This time, Lei Yang could no longer stand up. He held his chest and kept howling in pain. How is this possible? Lei Qingshan suddenly stood up and brought his men to the stage. Son, how are you? My ribs hurt. What? A group of underlings quickly helped Lei Yang down the stage. Then, Lei Qingshan glared at Wang Tsung. How dare you hurt my son? Your son's skills are inferior, and he even said that he would break my legs. I'm already being polite by only breaking his ribs. Wang Tsung looked over and said without fear. The surroundings were dead silent. Wang Tsung won. This person who still looked like a student really won. Ha ha ha. Scar was the first to laugh. Although he didn't win any money in this competition, at least he didn't lose anything. Instead, he made Lei Qingshan lose all his face, and his son was seriously injured. Lei Qingshan, if you agree to a bet, you have to accept your loss. Are you trying to cheat? Scar stood up and cheered for Wong Kong. As the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. At this time, he naturally wouldn't stand alone. All right. Kid, remember this. I, Lei Qingshan, won't let this go. Anyway, I'll be sparring here often. Feel free to challenge me. Wang Tsung shouted heartily. The audience below the stage was extremely surprised. This arrogant guy is actually so powerful. Yeah, he actually defeated Lei Yang. Too handsome. The arrogant king is too awesome. How can this guy be so handsome? Most importantly, he's so powerful. Ding dong. Obtained victory. Received the adoration of countless fans. The host is in a good mood. Congratulations on obtaining 5,000 satisfaction points. Hiss. Wang Tsung sucked in a cold breath. He didn't expect to receive so many satisfaction points after obtaining victory. Although he had expected to receive many satisfaction points, it was still unexpected. Lei Qingshan led his men to carry his son and left the place. Wang Tsung was respectfully led by Zhang Kai to the booth where Scar was. The few big shots beside Scar had a solemn expression. As Wang Tsung sat down, these people were even more nervous. After all, when Wang Tsung revealed himself, he was much stronger than Lei Yang. If this kind of person wanted to deal with them, they wouldn't have the time to make a move. Who said that he was a brainless student? Who said that he was here to be a joke? Who said that he was here to court death? F***ck him. These people were cursing in their hearts. This guy was too pretentious. Did he look like an expert? What was the point of pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? When he first came in, couldn't he show us a few moves, so that we could suck up to him? Now, Zhang Kai had taken all the advantage. They knew that Zhang Kai had bet all his assets on Wang Tsung's victory. Now, it had increased by several times. After all, Wang Tsung's odds were high. Scar also changed his previous disdain and hurriedly stood up to welcome Wang Kong. Congratulations on your victory, Brother Wang Kong. I knew it. Brother Wang Tsung is a man of striking appearance and extraordinary might. He's definitely not an ordinary person. None of you think highly of him. Lin Hao was shocked. At this moment, he felt that Wang Tsung had changed into another person. He was like a ferocious beast, staring at him. As long as he said one more wrong word, this ferocious beast would fulfill its promise. He swallowed his saliva. Although he was afraid, with so many people around him, it gave him a great sense of security. Wang Tsung, I know you can fight. But today, I'll show you what power is. Do you think I only have so many people? Let me tell you, I know both the black and white sides. Today, I'll let you meet the boss of this area, Brother Scar. Brother Scar? Wang Tsung had a strange look in his eyes. Wasn't this the Brother Scar from the bar who was almost bankrupted by Lei Qingshan's boxer? They knew that Zhang Kai had bet all his assets on Wang Tsung's victory. Now, it had increased by several times. After all, Wang Tsung's odds were high. Scar also changed his previous disdain and hurriedly stood up to welcome Wang Kong. Congratulations on your victory, Brother Wang Kong. I knew it. Brother Wang Tsung is a man of striking appearance and extraordinary might. He's definitely not an ordinary person. None of you think highly of him. Lin Hao was shocked. At this moment, he felt that Wang Tsung had changed into another person. He was like a ferocious beast, staring at him. As long as he said one more wrong word, this ferocious beast would fulfill its promise. He swallowed his saliva. Although he was afraid, with so many people around him, it gave him a great sense of security. Wang Tsung, I know you can fight. But today, I'll show you what power is. Do you think I only have so many people? Let me tell you, I know both the black and white sides. Today, I'll let you meet the boss of this area, Brother Scar. Brother Scar? Wang Tsung had a strange look in his eyes. Wasn't this the Brother Scar from the bar who was almost bankrupted by Lei Qingshan's boxer? This brother is handsome and powerful. He's definitely not an ordinary person. Why didn't you all think highly of him? Lin Hao was shocked. At this moment, he felt that Wang Tsung had changed into another person. He was like a ferocious beast, staring at him. As long as he said one more wrong word, this ferocious beast would fulfill its promise. Wang Tsung, I know you can fight. But today, I'll show you what power is. Do you think I only have so many people? Let me tell you, I know both the black and white sides. Today, I'll let you meet the boss of this area, Brother Scar. Brother Scar? Wang Tsung had a strange look in his eyes. Wasn't this the Brother Scar from the bar who was almost bankrupted by Lei Qingshan's boxer? This brother is handsome and powerful. He's definitely not an ordinary person. Why didn't you all think highly of him? Lin Hao was shocked. At this moment, he felt that Wang Tsung had changed into another person. He was like a ferocious beast, staring at him. As long as he said one more wrong word, this ferocious beast would fulfill its promise. Wang Tsung, I know you can fight. But today, I'll show you what power is. Do you think I only have so many people? Let me tell you, I know both the black and white sides. Today, I'll let you meet the boss of this area, Brother Scar. Brother Scar? Wang Tsung had a strange look in his eyes. Wasn't this the Brother Scar from the bar who was almost bankrupted by Lei Qingshan's boxer? This brother is handsome and powerful. He's definitely not an ordinary person. Why didn't you all think highly of him? Lin Hao was shocked. At this moment, he felt that Wang Tsung had changed into another person. He was like a ferocious beast, staring at him. As long as he said one more wrong word, this ferocious beast would fulfill its promise. Brother Scar. Wang Tsung had a strange look in his eyes. Wasn't this the brother Scar from the bar who was almost bankrupted by Lei Qingshan's boxer? This brother is handsome and powerful. He's definitely not an ordinary person. Why didn't you all think highly of him? Lin Hao was shocked. At this moment, he felt that Wang Tsung had changed into another person. He was like a ferocious beast, staring at him. As long as he said one more wrong word, this ferocious beast would fulfill its promise. Chapter 640. Your Highness, please don't ask this old servant anymore. This old servant really doesn't know. He Taigao said fearfully. All right, get up. Since you don't want to tell me, I won't ask you. Wang Zhong knew that He Taigao was absolutely loyal to him, but this time, He Taigao was hiding it from him for his own good. I'm tired. Everyone go back and rest. Empress, I'll go to your place tonight. This concubine will have someone prepare hot water. After arriving at Luanhou Palace, Wang Zhong took a comfortable bath. After everything was done, Zhao Luan attentively massaged Wang Zhong. Your Majesty, how is my technique? Zhao Luan asked in a delicate voice. Yes, Your Majesty's massage technique has improved greatly. I'm afraid that if this continues, I won't care about the court anymore. Wang Zhong joked. Your Majesty must be joking. If that's the case, then this concubine would rather not know massage techniques. Zhao Luan said. Let's stop joking around. Tell me, why did you suddenly have that expression when you saw the meteor tonight? Are you hiding something from me? This concubine doesn't want to lie to Your Majesty, but this concubine doesn't want to say it either. Even Your Majesty doesn't listen to me now. Slap. Wang Zhong patted Zhao Luan's private area, causing her to blush. Your Majesty, this concubine doesn't want to say it because it's for Your Majesty's own good. You're the one who's really doing it for my own good. Do you think that by hiding it from me, you're really doing it for my own good? What a joke. Only when you tell me will I be mentally prepared. This, Zhao Luan frowned slightly, as if she was considering the gains and losses. Should she tell him about this matter or not? Tell me. I'm not as weak as you think. No matter how big the problem is, or how strong the enemy is, I'll deal with it. Wang Zhong's tone was full of heroism. Zhao Luan thought for a while and said solemnly, this matter is actually related to a legend from the previous dynasty. Your Majesty, you might not have heard of it. Tell me. At the end of the previous dynasty, the world was in chaos. The people had no way to make a living, and the warlords fought each other. One day, a meteor streaked across the sky. Just like today, the 7 stars aligned in the sky. It was also on that night that the previous emperor of the great Yan dynasty rose in rebellion. He led his people and proclaimed himself king, and the golden age of the great Yan dynasty began. Later, some people said that the former emperor was acting in accordance with the will of the heavens. That was why he was able to seize the throne of the previous dynasty. After that, some people said that the appearance of the 7 stars alignment indicated that the true Son of Heaven had appeared. After speaking, Zhao Luan didn't care about her naked body. She quickly kneeled down and said, Emperor, Chen Xie deserves 10,000 deaths. Please punish me. Your Majesty said it so well, why would Zhen blame you? Wang Zhong helped Zhao Luan up and said faintly, no wonder eunuch he was unwilling to say anything. It turns out that the Son of Heaven has appeared in this world. It seems like he wants to seize my country. Your Majesty, this is just a rumor in Jianghu. It's not worth believing. The will of the heavens exists in this world. You can choose not to believe it, but you have to be prepared. Wang Zhong said faintly. On the surface, he didn't seem to care, but his heart was in turmoil. Coincidence, it was too much of a coincidence. Didn't the appearance of the 9 stars alignment correspond to the original owner being burned to death 3 years later? In a sense, the 9 stars alignment was correct. A true Son of Heaven had appeared in this world. If it wasn't for his intervention, this true Son of Heaven might have been able to act in accordance with the will of the heavens and seize his country. In this world, there were miracles in every dynasty. For example, old Zhu of the Daming dynasty was said to have received guidance from an expert. Lu Bang was said to have killed the giant snake. Before the snake died, it said that he was the true Son of Heaven. Of course, this was just an unofficial history. It might not be true. Empress, don't worry. Not to mention one true Son of Heaven, even if there were 2 or 10 of them, Zhan will still kill them all. Looking at Wang Zhong's domineering appearance, Zhao Wan's heart was filled with pride. I will definitely support you with all my strength, Your Majesty. Alright, get some rest. The 7 stars alignment in the sky was seen by many people. In a certain luxurious house, a young man came home with a hard steamed bun. Wife, this is great. A kind-hearted person gave us a steamed bun. Eat it. When he opened the door, there was no sound. In the simple house, there was wind everywhere. There was only a shabby table and 2 stools in the house. Other than that, there was only a bed with a yellowed blanket. A woman was lying on the bed. Because of the cold, she covered the blanket with hay to keep warm. Even so, her lips were pale from the cold. Wife. Wife. The young man felt that something was wrong. In the past, when he came home, his wife would always light a fire in the house and wait for him to come back. Although the house was cold, the fire gave them a lot of warmth. But today, the fire in the house was extinguished and the person on the bed was not moving. Wife. Plop. The man knelt on the ground and trembled as he touched the woman's nose. With a wah sound, the man cried. His wife was no longer breathing. Wife, wife. The man cried painfully. I got a steamed bun. I got a steamed bun. Open your eyes and see. This winter they did not have a good time. The harvest was not good. Because they could not pay the rent, the landlords took away all the food and necessities in the house. He relied on wild vegetables to beg for food and survived until today. He wanted to quickly plant the seeds after spring and find more food for his wife. But he did not expect that his wife would not survive. Wife, sob sob sob. Why? Why do those landlords live well while we work diligently but still starve to death? Why is this world so unfair? The more the man spoke, the angrier he became. At this time, 3 people suddenly rushed in. Yang Yunzhong, have you prepared the land rent? The one who spoke was the son of the landlord. The 2 henchmen beside him glanced at the house in disdain. It's too poor. Even the rats don't want to stay here. Isn't that so? Yo, Yang Yunzhong, is your wife dead? I think so. She's not moving. The 3 of them spoke frivolously. Yang Yunzhong slowly rose to his feet and glared at them. My wife died because of you. Go eat *T. Hurry up and pay the land rent. Otherwise, I'll break your legs. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Yang Yunzhong suddenly laughed. All right. Since you won't let me live, I won't let you live either. After he finished speaking, Yang Yunzhong picked up the woodcutter beside him. This was the only valuable thing in his house. What are you trying to do? The 3 of them's expressions changed drastically. Pooh! Yang Yunzhong killed one of the henchmen. Blood splattered everywhere. Since the Great Yan dynasty won't let us live, I'll destroy the Great Yan dynasty. At this moment, there was only one thought in Yang Yunzhong's mind. He wanted to be the master of the house and let the farmers live. These landlords deserve to die. Ah! Soon after, 3 people's screams rang from the house. Unfortunately, nobody heard them. After packing up, Yang Yunzhong changed into one of the men's clothes and buried his dead wife behind the house. After erecting a tombstone, Yang Yunzhong kowtowed 3 times. Wife, I've killed the son of my enemy. I've also killed 2 of his henchmen. These are all interest. It's a pity that I'm useless and can't kill their entire families. But don't worry, I'll do something big soon. The current emperor is muddle-headed and incompetent. Treacherous officials are in charge, and officials and merchants are in cahoots. Since the great Yen dynasty won't let me live, I, Yang Yunzhang, will destroy the great Yen dynasty. When I have power, I'll come back and destroy those landlords. As for you, wife, I'll build you the best tomb. After saying that, Yang Yunzhang carried his luggage. This time, he was going to look for the poor farmers who had suffered as well and rebel together. In the night, Yang Yunzhang looked up at the sky and saw the 7 stars alignment. Unfortunately, he was just a farmer and could not understand it. In another place, in a luxurious mansion, compared to the cold outside, the room was as warm as summer. This was because there was a charcoal fire in the room. A young man was holding a brush and writing rapidly. He wrote a line of majestic words. The great Yen dynasty is in danger. How should we save ourselves? The young man's facial features were extremely handsome. He was slender, but his eyes were spirited. His eyebrows were thick, and he exuded the aura of a superior. After thinking for a long time, the young man sighed and continued writing. Without destruction, there can be no construction. After writing, the young man muttered to himself, Since there's no wise ruler in this world, I'll take on this responsibility. Young master, your fiancé has brought you a bowl of ginseng soup. At this moment, the butler entered the room. When he saw the words on the table, his expression changed. Young master, you can't write this carelessly. If someone sees this, even the old master won't be able to save you. Butler, we're all family here. What are you worried about? In the current world, the emperor is muddle-headed and incompetent. He only cares about the harem and doesn't care about the court. Now that the world is in chaos, if we don't make preparations, someone else will flatten the capital sooner or later and regain control of the world. I, Gao Yen, may be young, but I'm well read. I know astronomy and geography, and I've even learned military law. How can that person in the great Yen dynasty be compared to me? The great Yen dynasty can fall now. The butler wiped his sweat and quickly said, Young master, please lower your voice. Hee, butler, let's not talk about this for now. Isn't Yenzi here? I'll accompany her for a walk. Yenzi was Gao Yan's fiancée. Both of them were born in a prestigious family. Both of them were betrothed when they were young, and their relationship was very good. After Gao Yen left, the butler immediately burned the paper on the table. Then he shouted, Young master, it's cold outside. Should we prepare a few more cotton-padded jackets? Gao Yen left the room. A delicate girl had been waiting at the door for a long time. Yenzi, thank you for the ginseng soup. It's delicious. Gao Yen drank the soup in one gulp. It's good that you like it. I'll cook for you often in the future. Oh, right. Try on this shirt. I've knitted it for you recently. The girl said gently. All right, thank you. Gao Yen sighed softly. However, he did not try on the shirt. Instead, he said, The weather is so cold. I have so many clothes that I can't wear them all. I wonder how many people have frozen to death because they don't have any clothes to wear. Chapter 641. Looking at Gao Yan's sad appearance, Yenzi didn't find it strange. It wasn't the first day she met Gao Yen. Every time he saw the suffering of the people, Gao Yen would always show a sad look. But to be honest, wasn't it precisely this appearance that was the most captivating part of him? I'm sorry, Yenzi. I shouldn't have said this in front of you. Gao Yen sighed softly. You and I are going to be husband and wife soon. Don't be so distant. Yenzi's face was red. Looking at the few begging disaster victims in the distance, she said, But those disaster victims are really pitiful. I heard that in the past few days, many people have frozen to death, and many have starved to death. Yenzi, why don't we make some porridge and give it to the poor? Gao Yen had thought about it. If he wanted to make a big career, he first needed reputation. In the past, his reputation was already good. Many people knew that he was talented and a son of a noble family who was good at both civil and martial arts. But that wasn't enough. He needed to let the world know that he, Gao Yan, was dedicated to the poor. Okay, brother Gao Yan, your idea is really good. Well, I'll immediately arrange for the servants to prepare it. Soon, Gao Yan asked the servants to set up several big pots and prepared many bowls in front of his door. Some servants ran out to beat the gongs and drums. Our young master Gao Yan is giving out free porridge. Everyone, go and eat. Our young master Gao Yan sees that you are cold. Eat some porridge to warm up. Everyone, go and eat. Several servants beat the gongs and drums, and all of them praised Gao Yan. Thank you, young master Gao Yan. You are so kind. A woman carrying a child took 2 bowls of porridge. When she received 2 bowls of porridge, she was so moved that she was about to cry. There aren't many people as kind as young Master Gao Yan these days. That's right. If His Majesty could be as benevolent as young Master Gao Yan, then our lives would be much better. Hearing these people's words, Gao Yan's heart was as sweet as honey. In fact, he was very ambitious. He wasn't satisfied with just being a young master of a rich family. He wanted to be worshipped by all people and be above all people. Even he didn't expect that a few bowls of porridge would make him so praised. This gave him hope. It didn't seem that it was so difficult to seize the throne. He couldn't help but look up at the sky in the dark night. 7 stars aligned. His eyes narrowed. As a well-read scholar, he naturally knew what the 7 stars alignment represented. Looks like even the heavens want me to overthrow the great Yan dynasty. Achoo, achoo. Early the next morning, Wang Zhong sneezed a few times in a row and immediately muttered, "After the 7 stars alignment last night, it seems that many people have set their sights on my country. It seems that I have to hurry up and prepare." Now that the weather was getting warmer, it was time for all living things to come back to life. As many victims returned to their villages to farm, Wang Zhong introduced new policies. The first was the new policy: send out Shan Yu's fleet to establish trade relations with overseas countries. For safety reasons, Wang Zhong sent the only naval escort in the country. Moreover, there were many tea leaves, porcelain, and silk produced in the Great Yan dynasty on the ship. These items did not sell well in the country, but if they were sold outside, they could be exchanged for many things that were useful to Great Yan. The most important thing was food. Then, there were various kinds of meat. Wang Zhong even considered importing some fruits and other things that could be stored easily from overseas. For this, he specially told Shan Yu's father to look at them more. The second policy was the new policy. With the capital as the center, they would find various excuses to suppress the landlords in batches. This was easier. As long as the landlords did not band together, they would not be able to cause much trouble. It was precisely because of this that it felt like boiling a frog in warm water. Although the landlords complained, it was still manageable. The third policy was the new policy. They began to mine iron and coal mines on a large scale. In the past, the Great Yan dynasty also mined these places, but it was not on a large scale. Firstly, it was because they did not need so much, and they did not pay much attention to it. Secondly, it was because coal was not used much in ancient times. However, in Wang Zhong's hands, it was a good thing. Currently, there were 3 iron mines and 6 coal mines in the Great Yan dynasty. Wang Zhong abolished the death penalty and sent all criminals to these places to mine. The large-scale production of ironware began. Wang Zhong estimated that these 3 new policies would be of great use when winter came again at the end of the year. For example, the first policy was to establish trade with overseas countries. When the time came, not only would the treasury be filled, but they would also be able to buy a lot of food. The second policy could alleviate the resentment of many ordinary farmers. The third policy was to produce their own weapons and equipment. Currently, these 3 new policies were the priority. The other policies, such as opening brothels and clothing factories, were considered to be expenses to maintain the harem. Your Majesty, there's news from the blacksmith. The firearms you wanted are ready. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. When he heard the news, Wang Zhong was overjoyed. All these years, apart from handling state affairs, he valued firearms the most. However, due to his poor skills, there were many problems. It made Wang Zhong wonder if he was destined to not be able to make firearms. Was there really a child of destiny? Fortunately, firearms were born. Let's go and take a look. The group of people went to the ironware workshop. It was next to the imperial study. Wang Zhong had built a smithy here for convenience. This commoner greets your majesty. Dozens of burly men hurriedly bowed to Wang Zhong. Well, I heard that you made firearms. Quickly show it to me. Wang Zhong ordered. Yes. The leader of the group, an old man, carefully took out a gun with a wooden handle. Your Majesty, this is a gun made according to your blueprint. We've tested it a few times and it can easily penetrate a stone as thick as a palm. The range is 20 to 30 meters. This range was a bit short, but it was a newly made firearm after all. He couldn't ask for too much. Moreover, this range of 20 to 30 meters was enough. Think about it, if two armies were to fight, 1,000 firearms would be able to defeat 1,000 enemies in an instant. This was an unparalleled advantage on the battlefield. Moreover, this thing was much easier than practicing with swords and guns every day. It didn't need to be practiced often to learn it. The key now was to not let the firearms break down too quickly. Previously, because of the frequent barrel explosions, the firearms would break down after a few bullets, so they couldn't display their fighting strength. How many times can you use it in a row? Wang Zhong asked. Replying to your Majesty, these firearms have been used more than 300 times in a row. There hasn't been a single problem. Good, very good. Wang Zhong was overjoyed. How many can you make every day? About one every 3 days. The person who replied was a bit speechless. He secretly thought that the emperor was indeed the emperor. His tone was too big. This thing wasn't easy to make, but he actually said that he could make a few every day. Too slow. Wang Zhong said, these days, I have already built a factory and gathered a lot of people to be responsible for making firearms. In Wang Zhong's vision, these 10 people would each do their own job. For example, there would be people who specialized in making iron pipes, gun stocks, and triggers. Only in this way could each person do their own field of expertise. Immediately, Wang Zhong told everyone his idea. Everyone was a bit strange when they heard it. In their minds, they didn't know what Wang Zhong's purpose was for letting them do their own jobs. However, since the emperor had spoken, they couldn't say anything. All right, no matter what, all of you have done a great service today. Great companion, announce the imperial edict, Wang Zhong said. He Taigao stepped forward and held up the imperial edict. By the will of the heavens, the emperor decrees. The content of the imperial edict was very simple. Each of the blacksmiths would be rewarded with a house, and they would be the head of each of the blacksmiths. In addition, they were allowed to bring their family members to live with them, because the house they were rewarded with was right next to the factory. After the announcement, Wang Zhong sighed emotionally. This should be the first weapon factory in Great Yen Dynasty. In order to maintain a high level of secrecy, he planned to build walls around the factory. Unrelated people were not allowed to get close. Naturally, it was impossible for him to become a fatty in one go. The initial expenses were too high. Wang Zhong planned to build the weapon factory slowly. He would first mass-produce firearms. In the blink of an eye, it was the end of the year again. This year was colder than last year. Although the overseas trade had been opened, there were not many ships in circulation. Hence, it was unrealistic to obtain large amounts of food from overseas. The fight against the landlords went smoothly. However, in the end, the landlords noticed that something was amiss. Some of the more capable landlords started to rebel and joined forces to rebel. However, the scale of this rebellion was not large. Wang Zhong sent an army to suppress them. At the same time, Wang Zhong also spread the news that his policy was to fight against the landlords and distribute the land. Who would the people help after hearing this news? Hence, after half a year, the landlord's influence grew smaller while the people gained more land. At least, when Wang Zhong went out incognito, there were not as many people who scolded him behind his back as a fatuous ruler. The production of firearms went smoothly as well. The craftsmanship was improved compared to the first batch. The weight was lighter, and the accuracy was slightly better. These 10 blacksmiths each brought a dozen disciples. As time went by, more and more people learned how to make firearms. However, Wang Zhong separated these blacksmiths from each other. It was very simple. This way, each blacksmiths could only make one type of firearm. Even if someone caught one of them, they would only be able to obtain the manufacturing method of one of the components. It would not affect the overall structure of the firearm. Now, the weapon factory was mostly completed. These blacksmiths went into their own areas to manufacture the components. Entering and exiting the factory required a certificate. Unauthorized personnel were not allowed to enter. In just a short year, the area around the capital had been completely transformed. However, the sky was high and the emperor was far away from the capital. For example, a man named Yang Yunzhang appeared in a faraway mountainous area. It was said that this person was born a farmer and had many good friends who were also farmers. Although this group of people did not establish themselves as kings, their reputation was very high. According to the intelligence from the East faction, once this Yang Yunzhang revolted, many people would follow him. Now, he had become a huge threat to the local people. Chapter 642. In addition to Yang Yunzhang, there was another person called Gao Yan who had a high reputation in the area. Rumor had it that this person was young, capable in both civil and martial arts, and was well versed in military law. It was said that last year, Gao Yan was concerned about the poor and specially gave out porridge, which won him a good reputation and was praised by the locals. After that, Gao Yan made many friends and now had dozens of hangers-on under him. If this person were to raise his arm and call for help, he would definitely have many followers. After hearing this news, Wang Zhong was speechless. Just giving out porridge had won him a lot of praise. Wasn't this too easy? He had helped so many landlords and even plundered the harem. How could it be that what he did was inferior to someone giving out porridge? Now that he thought about it, Wang Zhong felt that public opinion was really important. He had also thought about starting a newspaper, but at the moment, the people didn't have enough to eat. Starting a newspaper was also a loss, so it had to be done slowly. This winter was the same as last year. Many people starved and froze to death, but overall, there were very few people around the capital. There were only a lot of people who were far away from the emperor. After the new year, Wang Zhong once again went on a private visit in disguise. This time, he didn't come out to look at the people's livelihood. He had a good understanding of the people's livelihood. Now, he only needed to do a few new policies and the people's livelihood would definitely improve. This time, he wanted to find someone with a good head for business. Currently, the candidate for the Foreign Affairs Department was tentatively Shan Yu's father. However, Shan Yu's father was old and often sick. Obviously, he was not competent for the job. As for Shan Yu's brother and brother, they were not very capable people. Wang Zhong would not give face to Shan Yu and appoint people by favoritism. Therefore, Wang Zhong wanted to go out and see if he could find someone who could be useful. This person had to meet the following requirements. First, a good head for business. When you see something, you don't think about how to use it, but how to make money from it. This was a good head for business. Second, be good at dealing with people. The Foreign Affairs Department might often deal with the bosses of various chambers of commerce and even overseas organizations. If you were not good at dealing with people, it would not do. Third, be good at mathematics. There was nothing much to say about this. Businessmen did not have to know advanced mathematics, but they had to know normal business mathematics. These 3 requirements weren't difficult, but they weren't easy either. The places that Wang Zhong had chosen were places that had better business. In his opinion, there must be a reason why business was so good in these places. The people in these places must be very good at doing business, which was why business was so good. These days, he had been to many places. He had even visited the capital. Unfortunately, he had not found anyone suitable. Yesterday, it seemed that the people from the Eastern Military Factory had given him some places where business was good. They were restaurants in a city near the capital. Since he had nothing to do, Wang Zhong prepared to go out and take a look. When they arrived at the restaurant, it was already late at night. After all, it was a long journey. The name of the restaurant was Immortal Fate Restaurant. The name was quite good and gave people a good impression of it. Wang Zhong couldn't help but have a good impression of this restaurant. The scale of the restaurant was very large. Although there were many other restaurants on both sides of the street, this restaurant's business was the best. According to the information from the people from the Eastern Military Factory, this restaurant was opened by a middle-aged man called Zheng Jiazhua. This Zheng Jiazhua did not have a strong background. In the past, he had only opened a small restaurant. However, he was very good at doing business. After more than 10 years of hard work, this restaurant's business was very good. Moreover, looking at the situation here, Immortal Fate Restaurant had become a high-end place. The people who came here were either rich or respectable. Not bad at all. It was lunchtime, so the restaurant was very lively. He Taigao followed beside Wang Zhong, and a group of guards followed behind them as they walked in. The restaurant's waiter was very perceptive. He came over and said, "Sir, how many people do you want?" 13. "Give me 3 tables. All right, there are 3 tables left." The waiter smiled eagerly. Soon, Wang Zhong ordered some dishes. "Young master, this dish is the most famous in our restaurant. It's called Soaring Dragon de Hai. After eating it, I guarantee that young master will rise step by step." The waiter pointed at a fish dish and said, "Young master, this dish is auspicious and prosperous. This dish is called All Things Go As You Wish. This dish is also the most famous in our restaurant. It's called Immortal Shows the Way. All right, there's also wine. Our restaurant's most famous wine, Immortal Juice." The waiter knew that Wang Zhong was not an ordinary person. Therefore, he eagerly introduced the dishes while serving them. As expected of Immortal Fate Restaurant, the names of these dishes are not ordinary. The waiter smiled and said, "Isn't that so? Moreover, our young miss has added precious medicinal herbs into each dish. Eating them will not only prolong one's life, but also strengthen one's physique. These are what those esteemed guests want." "From what you're saying, these dishes were named by your young miss?" Wang Zhong asked. "It's not just the dishes. Even the name Immortal Fate Restaurant was given by young Mississippi. She said that this name sounds unique and can give people a good impression." So that's the case. Wang Zhong looked around and was surprised to find that although there were many people eating here, they were all quiet and stingy, unlike other restaurants that were noisy from time to time. This scene caused Wang Zhong to be astonished once again. "Waiter, the people who come to eat here seem to be rather courteous and orderly." "Of course." Hearing this, the waiter said proudly, "The people who come here all give face to our young Mississippi. Not to mention that these people won't cause trouble. Even if they do, these guests will help to settle it." "Oh, why is that?" "Because our young miss is very popular." Wang Zhong was moved. She knew how to do business and was very popular. She was very compatible with the requirements he was looking for. "Waiter, here's your reward." Wang Zhong handed over some silver and said, "Find your manager. This young master has some things to ask." "Okay." Although the waiter was curious why Wang Zhong wanted to find the manager, he still went to find him. Very quickly, the manager of the restaurant came over. This person looked to be in his 40s. He bowed and said, "Master, you were looking for me?" The manager could tell that Wang Zhong and He Taigao's group were not ordinary people with a glance. His attitude became even more respectful. "Is the food not to your liking? I will immediately have the kitchen change it." Wang Zhong waved his hand and said, "It has nothing to do with the food. I am just interested in your business. This emperor heard that the names of the Immortal Fate restaurant and the dishes here were all given by your daughter? That's right. The manager's expression turned ugly. He did not understand why Wang Zhong was asking about his daughter. I will go to the private room upstairs. Have your daughter come and see me. Hearing Wang Zhong's words, the manager's heart sank. As expected, he really was looking for his daughter. His daughter was called Zheng Sheshe. Although she was not devastatingly beautiful, she was still as beautiful as a flower. She was at the age of a flower, and who knew how many officials and guests liked her. More importantly, the reason why he was able to run this restaurant so well was all because of his daughter's ideas. His daughter had been smart since she was young. She was good at business. In the past, he was only running a tea house. Under his suggestion, he bought this place. Later, the business grew and became the leader here. Although the young master in front of him was extremely wealthy, his family did not lack food and clothing. Of course, he did not want his daughter to be found by some random person. Young master, my daughter is not feeling well. If you want to find her, I am sorry, the manager said coldly. Impudent. My master wants to find your daughter. That is your daughter's fortune. How can she not see him? He Taigao said coldly. The manager's expression changed. From the tone of their voice, it seemed that this group of people was not simple. He was not far from the capital. He now suspected that these people might have come from the capital. Perhaps they were the children of some important official. Immediately, his attitude softened. Young master, my daughter is really not feeling well. I can ask a doctor to take a look at her, Wang Zhong said indifferently. Let's go to the private room upstairs. Don't worry, I don't have any bad intentions. If I did, I wouldn't have come here, Wang Zhong said. Then, okay. The manager steeled his heart. He thought that he could only wait and see. He would let his daughter go first and try not to offend them. If these people really dared to mess around, he would let them know what was good for them even if he had to give up this restaurant. After Wang Zhong went upstairs, the manager went to the third floor and personally looked for his daughter. At this moment, Zheng Sheshe was painting. She was painting a picture of a kitten fishing. The painting was very lifelike. It could be seen that Zheng Sheshe's painting skills were very good. Father, this is the time when the restaurant is busy. Why are you here? Zheng Sheshe put down her brush and asked curiously. The manager's face was full of worry. Daughter, our family might be in some trouble. Father, is someone here to cause trouble? Although most of the people here would give Zheng Sheshe face, there would occasionally be people who didn't have eyes to look for trouble. They didn't cause trouble, but that young master directly said that he wanted to see you. Although I refused, he didn't give up. Especially the gods around him, they are very fierce. Then I will go and see him. After thinking for a while, Zheng Sheshe said decisively. Sai, if they dare to mess around, I will definitely fight with them. At that time, you should quickly run away. Father, it won't be that serious. Daughter will go and see. I will go with you. The father and daughter went to the private room on the second floor. Zheng Sheshe pushed the door and entered. After seeing Wang Zhong, He Taigao, and the others, her face changed slightly. She actually knelt down immediately. This humble girl Zheng Sheshe greets the emperor. Everyone was dumbfounded, especially Zheng Sheshe's father. His eyes were wide open. What was going on? He Taigao and the others were shocked that Zheng Sheshe could actually see through Wang Zhong's identity. Wang Zhong was also very surprised. He didn't expect Zheng Sheshe to see through his extraordinariness at a glance. It seemed that he was indeed too dazzling. Although his clothes and appearance were very low-key, it still couldn't hide his bright temperament. Father, quickly kneel down. This is the current emperor. Zheng Sheshe quickly reminded her father. Miss Zheng, how did you know my identity? Wang Zhong said with a smile. Chapter 643. This commoner Zheng Jiazhua greets your majesty. Zheng Jiazhua kneeled down, dumbfounded. Wang Zhong waved his hand indifferently. There's no need for unnecessary formalities. You may all rise. Miss Zheng, how did you know of our identity? Only then did Zhang Sheshe explain. This commoner was fortunate enough to see you behead Lu Pingying.
Oh.
You were among the crowd that day. Yes. I heard that you were going to personally interrogate Lu Pingying, so I went to take a look. So that's how it is. Wang Zhong smiled. Since you know us won't introduce ourselves. Today, us came to find us to discuss something. Zheng Jiazhua was very happy. Why was he happy? It was very simple. The emperor had come all the way here to ask his daughter about something. He was definitely preparing to take her as a concubine. Thinking that his daughter would become the emperor's concubine, Zheng Jiazhua couldn't help but feel proud. This would truly bring honor to his ancestors. However, he might rarely see his daughter in the future. Thinking of this, Zheng Jiazhua began to worry. What business does your majesty have with this commoner? Zheng Sheshe looked at Wang Zhong and felt that something was strange. Could it be that the emperor really liked her and wanted to marry her? What was she supposed to do? However, Wang Zhong's next sentence made her heave a sigh of relief in her heart. Us heard that Immortal Affinity Tower was run so well by you. This commoner doesn't dare to claim credit. My father manages most of Immortal Affinity Tower. This commoner only provided some small suggestions, Zheng Sheshe said. However, it is precisely because of your suggestions that the business here has improved. Us feel that you have a good head for business and can be of use to us. If you do well, us will reward you greatly and even give you a promotion, Wang Zhong said. Right now, Zheng Sheshe only earned money from doing business. However, if she worked for Wang Zhong, not only would she earn money, she would also have status and power. This commoner is stupid and doesn't understand your majesty's intentions. Wang Zhong explained. Us established a foreign affairs department that is specifically in charge of trade. Right now, us is looking for someone who knows how to do business and how to deal with people. Us feels that you are not bad. Us came to find you. Let me manage the foreign affairs department. Even though Zheng Sheshe was quite smart, she could not wrap her head around it at this moment. Of course, if you want to manage the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you have to pass my test. I will now test you. If you and your caravan pass by an island and you discover that the people on the island are not wearing clothes, what will you do? Ugh. Zheng Sheshe thought for a moment and said, since we are a caravan, there must be goods on board. Since they don't have clothes, I will consider using clothes to trade with them for food, raw materials, and other supplies. Not bad. Wang Zhong nodded his head in satisfaction. This was the correct answer. He had not misjudged him. This emperor will test you again. If you do well, this emperor will reward you with a chest of gold. What are you going to do with this chest of gold? Wang Zhong asked. This humble girl doesn't really understand. I just feel that if we have gold, we might as well buy some places and start a small business. Wang Zhong smiled again. He was very satisfied with this answer. Some people thought of having fun when they had a lot of money, but Zheng Sheshe thought of doing business. Her brain was indeed not ordinary. This emperor will now ask you if you are willing to work for this emperor. Wang Zhong said. At this point, the father and daughter knew that Wang Zhong did not come here to take in a concubine or anything, but to invite Zheng Sheshe to be an official. For a moment, Zheng Sheshe was a little worried. Your Majesty, since ancient times, there has never been a woman who has been an official in the court. I am worried that I will not do well. Don't worry. Just do it. This, although Wang Zhong said it very well, Zheng Sheshe still had a lot of concerns. After all, if she did not do well and caused big trouble, she would be beheaded. Of course, there were also benefits. Their Zheng family would no longer be limited to this small place. In the future, they would be able to develop even more and even have a meteoric rise. As if seeing through Zheng Sheshe's worries, Wang Zhong said, You don't have to worry about what will happen if you do something wrong. This emperor can promise you that as long as you don't act recklessly, you will learn from your mistakes. Alright, it's settled then. Without waiting for Zhang Sheshe to agree, Wang Zhong said. Zhang Sheshe suddenly raised her head. Your Majesty, before this, I have a presumptuous request. Oh. What are your conditions? Wang Zhong teased with a smile. The reason why this humble daughter and father are stranded here is because we were persecuted in our hometown. This humble daughter's mother was beaten to death by those people. Tell me in detail. Yes. Zhang Sheshe took a deep breath. She knew that this was her only chance to take revenge. Then, she began to narrate. It turned out that the reason why she and her father were stranded here was because they had offended a county magistrate in their hometown when they were young. Later, during the conflict, her mother was beaten to death. In order to avoid being hunted down, Zhang Jiazhua took Zhang Sheshe and fled here overnight. All these years, Zhang Sheshe had never forgotten the scene of her mother being beaten to death. She dreamed of taking revenge for her mother. However, she knew that it was very difficult to do so. The other party was an official of the imperial court. Even if it was just a small official, it was not someone that a restaurant owner like him could deal with. Don't look at how polite the diners downstairs were to her. They were only giving her face. If she really had a request, who knows what kind of unreasonable request they would make. I didn't think that the county magistrate in your hometown would be so daring despite his low position. He would brazenly do bad things. Hearing Zhang Sheshe's words, Wang Zhong's heart was filled with anger. Sometimes, the evil done by a low-level official was even more despicable than the corruption of a high-level official. Your Majesty, please make a decision for this humble daughter and comfort my mother's soul in heaven. Zhang Sheshe pleaded again. As long as your Majesty agrees to this humble daughter's request, this humble daughter would be willing to work like an ox or horse for your Majesty. Humph, are you trying to negotiate with us? Wang Zhong coldly snorted. This humble daughter doesn't dare. Forget it. In fact, even if you didn't mention this condition, we would still get rid of those corrupt officials. Zhang Sheshe raised her head in disbelief. You are all our people. How could we allow those corrupt officials to bully you? So don't worry, I will send people over in a few days. Thank you, Your Majesty. Good. Tomorrow, pack up and follow us into the palace. As you wish. From this day onwards, Zhang Sheshe was considered the temporary Minister of Foreign Affairs. She was in charge of foreign trade. After entering the capital, Wang Zhong arranged for people to teach Zhang Sheshe about the situation of the large countries nearby. On the other hand, an imperial envoy was also arranged to go to Zhang Sheshe's hometown to seal up the local magistrate's family. The county magistrate and a few of the officials were taken to the capital to be dealt with later. After hearing this news, Zhang Sheshe finally felt at ease and focused on learning about trade. When they found out that the fleet was going out to sea, Wang Zhong and Zhang Sheshe made a suggestion to invite people from overseas to build an embassy here to facilitate communication between the two countries. After hearing Wang Zhong's suggestion, Zhang Sheshe was stunned. She knew that the emperor had changed and didn't ignore court affairs like before. But she didn't expect the emperor to be so smart that he could even think of a way to build an embassy. Zhang Sheshe felt that she was really stupid. So far, many of the major decisions in the Foreign Affairs Department had been made by Wang Zhong. This meant that, strictly speaking, the emperor was more suited to work in the Foreign Affairs Department. It was just that the emperor was usually too busy, so he let her do it. I must study hard and strive to catch up to the emperor. Zhang Sheshe inwardly swore. After half a year, the Foreign Affairs Department had undergone several major reforms and successfully opened a market for tea and porcelain. And from overseas, a steady stream of food began to be sent in. Wang Zhong put these food in the warehouses of various strategic towns. They would be sold at the end of the year, when winter came. They had prepared in advance because this year was very important. According to the mission information, there might be a big mess this year. There would be rebels everywhere and he would be burned alive in the end. The food had been prepared. Currently, The people around the capital had more or less been allocated their land. Wang Zhong visited several places incognito and asked some people in private. In many places, everyone had their own land. People were beaming with joy and were so happy that they were about to become well off. According to Wang Zhong's estimates, even if there was trouble at the end of the year, the capital's surroundings would be safe. In terms of weapons, the progress wasn't very fast. The main reason was that the factory that made firearms didn't make fast progress. So the production of firearms was stuck in small workshops and couldn't be mass-produced. So far, only 400 guns had been made. Wang Zhong personally trained these firearms soldiers. These people didn't need to be very strong, but they had to be fast, have good eyesight, and have nimble fingers. These were the requirements to be a qualified firearm soldier. Only a few people Wang Zhong trusted knew about these 400 firearm soldiers. Others didn't know about Wang Zhong's army. It was also this year that the Empress Zhao Luan finally had a child. The Empress was expecting. When the news spread, everyone in the palace was happy as though it was the new year. However, Wang Zhong did not let the joy get to his head. It had been raining recently. It should be noted that it had been raining for a few days. If this continued, the farmers might not have a good harvest this year. I have to hurry up and make preparations. Wang Zhong looked up at the sky. At this moment, the rain was getting heavier. Your Majesty, it's already so late. Why aren't you resting? Zhao Luan asked. Sigh, why isn't the rain stopping? Wang Zhong sighed. If this continues, I'm afraid there'll be a flood. Zhao Luan knew the impact of a flood on the agriculture industry. She was worried as well. 2 years ago, the people of Great Yan Dynasty had already suffered. They did not expect there to be a flood this year. If this continued, there would not be enough food at the end of the year. Your Majesty, we've established trade relations with the overseas countries. As long as we have goods, we'll be able to send in food, Zhao Luan comforted him. Even so, we don't have enough ships to transport food on a large scale. Moreover, there are too many rebels in the remote areas. Although I'm not afraid of them, I'm still worried about them. Chapter 644. Hearing Wang Zhong's words, Zhao Luan also sighed. She was very worried, but she still comforted Wang Zhong. Your Majesty, as long as we carry out the existing policies, even if there are rebels everywhere, we still have the ability to eliminate the enemy. The Empress is right. With the capital as my base, as long as there is no chaos, everything will be fine. Having thought this through, Wang Zhong smiled. However, at this time, there was a loud rumble outside. This is bad, this is bad. The eunuchs and maids outside shouted at the top of their lungs. Wang Zhong quickly got up. Luan, you are pregnant. Don't move around. I will go out and take a look. Your Majesty, be careful. Wang Zhong rushed out and saw a eunuch kneeling on the ground. Your Majesty, this is bad. What is it? The clothing factory. There is a building near the clothing factory that collapsed due to the rain. Go and take a look. The collapsed house was not newly built. Instead, it was a house that was several decades old. After inspection, it was found that the foundation of the building had been soaked in the rain for too long, causing the foundation to loosen, causing the building to collapse. Sadly, there were 2 concubines and several maids inside. They were all crushed to death. Sigh, give them a proper burial. Wang Zhong looked at the corpses and shook his head. If even the buildings in the palace could not withstand such a large amount of rain, the people outside would suffer even more. 3 days later, just as Wang Zhong had guessed, there were more and more floods in various places. There were more victims this time than in previous winters, and they were more spread out. The bandits that had been suppressed before reappeared in various places. Now, many provinces sent urgent letters, asking the emperor to send money for disaster relief. Looking at the countless letters on the table, Wang Zhong angrily threw them to the ground. Money, money, all of it. If I could do all these things well, why would I need you? Your Majesty, please calm down. He Taigao sighed. it is not worth it to hurt your body. None of these ministers have any real ability. Although Wang Zhong was very angry, he could not ignore these things. Wang Zhong pondered for a moment before saying, "Great friend, draft the decree." "Yes, your majesty." He Taigao obediently took out the imperial edict, but after listening to Wang Zhong's explanation, He Taigao was stunned. This was because Wang Zhong's method was not to directly provide disaster relief. Instead, he wanted the various regions to arrange for the disaster victims to build huge houses for them to live in. The houses that were built would be funded by the imperial court, and the disaster victims would be paid for building the houses. "Emperor, forgive this old servant for asking too much, but what's the use of building these houses?" He Taigao really couldn't figure it out. Of course it's for the disaster victims to stay. But in this rainy season, we only need to feed the victims. The weather is not cold. Great friend, you don't know, but I think that this winter might be even colder. These houses were built to let the disaster victims have a better winter. According to the mission information, he would die this winter, so Wang Zhong was preparing for a rainy day. Although building houses now was a waste of manpower and money, when winter came, these houses would be very effective. At the very least, the people without houses would not freeze to death. On the other hand, Wang Zhong did not want to provide disaster relief for no reason and let the people develop the mentality that the imperial court would save them anyway. He wanted to let the people know that they had to work to get food to eat. At present, the imperial court was still quite rich, so it could definitely withstand the expenditure. The next day, the imperial edict was sent to the 17 provinces of the Great Yen dynasty. The officials could not understand Wang Zhong's thoughts. It was enough to provide disaster relief during the rainy season and provide food to eat. Why did he have to build houses? Wasn't this a waste of money and manpower? What an incapable ruler! The officials cursed Wang Zhong in their hearts, but they did not dare to disobey the order. They started to carry out Wang Zhong's mission in an orderly manner. At this moment, a group of 5,000 people was gathered in a large mountain. The leader of this group was a dark-skinned brawny man. This person was Yang Yunzhang, who wanted to proclaim himself king. Yang Yunzhang raised his arm and shouted, "Brothers, the current emperor is incompetent. Treacherous officials are in charge, and the landlords are tyrannical. We poor farmers have no land to plant, no money, and even our houses have been destroyed by the flood. So far, the imperial court has not done anything. Everyone, what should we do? The imperial court is showing signs of defeat. Big Brother Yang is born like us. He empathizes with the suffering of the people and upholds justice. He should proclaim himself king and oppose that incapable ruler." An old man with a white beard beside him said seriously. This person was a teacher that Yang Yunzhang met outside. He was now his military advisor, and his name was Qiu Ranzhong. "That's right, Big Brother Yang. You saved my life. If it weren't for you, I would have been beaten to death by the landlord's sons. Since the emperor can't do anything about those evildoers, Big Brother Yang, you can do it. Anyway, my life is yours. I will follow you." "That's right. Big Brother Yang, kill those landlords. Kill, 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 kill." Looking at the countless people who supported him, Yang Yunzhang was on the verge of tears. "Good. Everyone is my good brother. Today, I, Yang Yunzhang, will follow the will of the people and proclaim myself king. I will establish a people's court. I want to petition for the people." Yang Yunzhang shouted excitedly. The scene in front of them was naturally designed by Yang Yunzhang and his men. He had been lurking in the area these days, killing many landlords and gentry, and many people began to draw close to him. As his manpower increased, Yang Yunzhang realized that he needed a lot of money to feed so many people. Under the advice of Qiu Ranzhong, he decided to proclaim himself king on this day of the flood and establish a people's court. The so-called people's court meant that he was petitioning for the people. Then, under Yang Yunzhang's lead, he finally killed his way into his hometown, the Yang clan city. "Not good, the Yang clan army is here. Chuang Qingyang is here, Chuang Qingyang is here." Seeing the mighty army charging in, the defenseless garrison of the Yang clan city instantly fell into chaos. The next moment, many people dressed like poor people in the city unsheathed their sabers. "Help Chuang Qingyang! Help Chuang Qingyang!" No one expected that in order to take over the Yang clan city, Yang Yunzhang had already arranged for spies to infiltrate the city. Now that the city was under siege, it was time for the spies to create chaos. With cooperation from both inside and outside, the Yang clan city would naturally fall. "Those who obey me will live, and those who resist me will die." Yang Yunzhang roared, and the people behind him ran even faster. The garrison of the city was in a hurry to guard against an attack from the spies. Soon, the garrison was suppressed by the sneak attack, and Yang Yunzhang and his men had already reached the city. "Welcome, Chuang King." Dozens of people in plain clothes opened the city gate. "Chuang King, the city lord of the Yang clan city, has surrendered." "Good." Yang Yunzhang nodded slightly and rode his horse slowly into the city. Everywhere he went, there was a group of people looking at him with hopeful eyes. They looked at him with anticipation, which made Yang Yunzhang feel touched, and a sense of pride welled up in him. "This world is mine, Chuang Qingyang. Those who obey me will live, and those who resist me will die. Everyone, don't worry. When I conquer this world, I'll make sure that everyone has food to eat." From Yang Yunzhang's point of view, if those corrupt officials didn't embezzle so much money, they would definitely be able to feed everyone. "Chuang King, we've captured Yang Li and his family. Please deal with them," a messenger reported. "Good." Yang Yunzhang's eyes flashed coldly. Yang Li was the biggest landlord here, and it was because of him that his family couldn't afford to pay the land rent, causing his family to starve and his wife to starve to death. This debt of blood must be paid with blood. "Brothers, follow me," Yang Yunzhang ordered, and the people behind him followed. In front of a mansion, Yang Li and his family knelt on the ground and kowtowed. "Chuang King, don't kill me, don't. I have money, please spare my life." Looking at this family, Yang Yunzhang snorted inwardly and kicked Yang Li to the ground. "Old thing, do you still remember me?" Yang Yunzhang shouted. "Ah, you. Yang Li didn't recognize him. "I killed your son. If you hadn't forced me to pay the land rent, my wife wouldn't have died. Today, I'll kill you as a sacrifice to the heavens." "Ah." Yang Li suddenly remembered that this man had always been behind on the payment of the land rent, saying that he couldn't afford it. In the end, he disappeared without a trace, and his son was eventually found dead in his home. "Men, your subordinate is here. Take everyone in the Yang clan to the prison and await their punishment." As the orders were passed down, Yang Yunzhang's subordinates began to work in an orderly manner. Some of them bought horses, while others plundered the property of the landlords. Fellow villagers, Chuang Qingyang was born a farmer and hates landlords. It is our blessing to have him as the master of our land. Anyone who supports the Chuang King should join the civil army. I hope that those with insight can follow the Chuang King and make contributions to the people. When the time comes, they will be rewarded for their service and be promoted to nobility, bringing honor to their ancestors. Chuang Qingyang loves the people like his own children. He won't bully the people like the current incapable ruler. Due to the outdated information in ancient times and the fact that Wang Zhong's policies hadn't had enough time to take effect, most people still had a bad impression of the emperor. Many people who couldn't survive were eager to join Chuang Qingyang's army and make contributions. A day later, Yang Yunzhang brought his men to his old home. Now, his home was only left with a wall. He went to the backyard and looked at the small grave without a tombstone. Yang Yunzhang knelt down and said, "Wife, I'm here. Our people's dynasty has been established." "Not good, not good. Chuang Qingyang has conquered 3 cities in a row. It's said that he now has an army of 100,000 and has established a civil dynasty. He's crowned himself as the self-proclaimed Chuang King." Wang Zhong was the first to hear the news, but he hadn't expected Chuang Qingyang to progress so quickly. Wang Zhong suddenly smiled. That was good. The sooner he showed himself, the sooner he could suppress him. In the early days, Chuang Qingyang might be able to convince the people and give them a good life. But as more and more people came under the Chuang King's control, more and more interest groups would appear. Let's see how he deals with them then. Chapter 645. So far, this so-called Great Min dynasty had conquered 3 cities. On the surface, there seemed to be no problem. However, Wang Zhong did not believe an ordinary person would not make mistakes in the early stages and be able to keep his subordinates in check. Even if he did not want the wealth, what about his subordinates? Did he really think they were fighting for the people? Hence, Wang Zhong's current strategy was to surround them but not attack. He would send reinforcements to the places Yang Yunzhang was about to attack so that Yang Yunzhang would not be able to sustain the war. If he ran out of money, Yang Yunzhang would collapse on his own. Pass down my orders. Surround those 3 cities and launch an attack on public opinion. Let the people know that the imperial court has not forgotten them. Wang Zhong passed down his orders. In other places, huge houses were being built in full swing in preparation for the winter at the end of the year. A month later, Yang Yunzhang was lying comfortably in the city governor's mansion in Yang City. He was being massaged by 2 maidservants. Ever since he conquered 3 cities, he had decided to take a break since the other cities were not easy to conquer. He planned to rest for a while before attacking again. In his opinion, the Great Yan dynasty's national strength was waning. Otherwise, he would not have conquered 3 cities in one go. Roaming King. At this moment, Qiu Ranzhong walked in. You're here. Yang Yunzhang waved his hand. The 2 maidservants left obediently. What brings you here, Roaming King? Li Hashan killed a family yesterday. We can't let him continue like this. Otherwise, the people won't be convinced. He's done something again. Upon hearing this, Yang Yunzhang frowned. Li Hashan was one of the first people to fight for him. He was indebted to Li Hashan for recognizing his worth. He would feel bad if he punished Li Hashan. Roaming King, our army hasn't been following the rules in and out of the 3 cities recently. The people are already complaining about us. If we don't handle this well, I'm afraid it'll affect our army's reputation. Qiu Ranzhong was a talent. He knew how to make use of the people's hearts. Back then, he had chosen to follow Yang Yunzhang because he valued friendship and was born a farmer. It was just that he did not expect Yang Yunzhang to be corrupted so quickly. Once he had a good life, he had good food and beautiful women. He could not even control his subordinates. Thinking of the group of people who had followed him in the uprising, they were now either enjoying themselves or bullying the common people. If this continued, they would probably be wiped out even before the imperial court attacked. That was why Qiu Ranzhong had decided to come over and persuade Yang Yunzhang not to forget his original intentions. Roaming King, Li Hashan has caused too much trouble. Many soldiers are complaining about him. Please punish him severely. I got it. Just punish him to face the wall for a day. Yang Yunzhang thought for a long time and said a punishment that was neither painful nor itchy. Qiu Ranzhong continued, Roaming King, this punishment is too light. It's hard to convince the masses. But he's my brother. What about the family that Li Hashan killed? When you started the uprising, you kept saying that you were petitioning for the people and even gave yourself the title of Min Dynasty. What about now? Petitioning for the people is not bad, but I killed those landlords to do so. Those landlords are despicable. Ha ha ha. Qiu Ranzhong laughed disdainfully. Roaming King, do you know why Li Hashan killed that family? It's because he had his eyes on that family's land, including that village's land. Li Hashan wanted them all. He wanted to be a landlord. My brother wants to get rich. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone likes money, Yang Yunzhang said with an ugly expression. You. Qiu Ranzhong pointed at Yang Yunzhang. Ha ha ha, I know. Qiu Ranzhong had no intention of continuing to persuade him. That was because he could see that the Min dynasty was about to fall. The once heroic Yang Yunzhong was dead. The one sitting on the throne now was just a greedy and unprincipled person. Qiu Renzhong walked out, swaying. Suddenly, he was at a loss. The roaming king could no longer be supported. The people under him had not even conquered the country yet, and they were already fighting for territory. They were a bunch of blind people. What should he do now? He should leave this place. Qiu Renzhong sighed. The roaming king was no longer worthy of him following him. However, as soon as he walked out, a group of soldiers suddenly stopped him. "What are you doing?" Qiu Renzhong frowned. "Qiu Renzhong, you're plotting a rebellion. The evidence is conclusive." A brawny man walked out. Qiu Renzhong's eyes narrowed. Li Hashan. Qiu Renzhong did not know that Li Hashan had found out about it after he reported it to Yang Yunzhong. After hearing the news, Li Hashan came with his men and pinned a groundless accusation on Qiu Renzhong. "Take him away." "No, I want to see the roaming king. I want to see him." Qiu Renzhong shouted angrily. "No need. I'll tell the roaming king about you personally. I'm sure the roaming king will deal with you properly after he knows about it." "Ha ha ha. Treacherous villain, treacherous villain. Roaming king, do you still remember how I told you not to trust treacherous officials? Have you forgotten your promise? Have you forgotten your dead wife?" Qiu Renzhong shouted, but his voice became softer and softer. "What's that noise outside?" Yang Yunzhong asked curiously when he vaguely heard the noise outside. "Brother Yang, it's me." Li Hashan walked in with a smile. "Well, Li Hashan, you're here." "Yes, I heard that old bastard Qiu Renzhong cursing you behind your back. He even said that he wanted to rebel. I helped you capture him. That old bastard is so shameless." Yang Yunzhong's expression changed. "Isn't that so? I reprimanded him on the spot. Otherwise, I don't know what he was going to say. Now, he's been captured by my men." "That's good. Brother Yang, let's not talk about this anymore. I've brought you two beauties." "Oh." Yang Yunzhong's eyes lit up. He had already forgotten about his dead wife. Pleading for the people and avenging his wife? Those were just fleeting clouds. He would rather enjoy them himself. Soon, the two beauties walked in. Yang Yunzhong's eyes lit up. "Ha ha ha, great." The two beauties were both very short. The aesthetic standard here was to be short and cute. Not only were they short, but their faces were also delicate. They were curvaceous. They were simply one in a million beauties. Li Hashan was indeed a good brother of his. He did not forget about him even when there were beauties. "Greetings, roaming king," the two beauties said coquettishly. For these two girls, although they didn't like Yang Yunzhong, their lives would be much better if they served Yang Yunzhong. "Good, good. Come to my side," Yang Yunzhong said with a smile. For a moment, he was very emotional. This was the life of a king. No wonder the great Yan dynasty's emperor had so many concubines in his harem. In the future, he would have at least twice as many concubines as that incapable ruler. After all, he was the true emperor. "My king, let me toast you." "Good, good." Yang Yunzhong smiled and downed the cup in one gulp. "Brother Yang, you're a good drinker." Li Hashan smiled until his eyes narrowed. He had brought these two beauties this time because he was worried that Yang Yunzhong would really punish him. Now, it seemed like he was worried for nothing. "By the way, Hashan, how's the recruitment going?" Yang Yunzhong asked. "Roaming king, it hasn't been very smooth recently." "What's going on?" Yang Yunzhong frowned. In the beginning, the people were very obedient to him. He could not understand why things had turned out this way. Maybe it's because the people in the three cities have almost finished recruiting. What should we do now?" Although Yang Yunzhong had been having fun recently, he was also thinking about how to conquer the other cities. "My king, I think Great Yen is at its end. If we gather all the soldiers in the three cities and attack Penang, we'll be able to break through it like a hot knife through butter. But Elder Chiu said that gathering all the soldiers in the 3 cities will leave our rear empty. At this moment, Yang Yunzhang realized that war was a headache. It was not as good as drinking and having fun. That old geezer, Qiu Renzhong, is about to rebel. That lad is too cunning. He's deliberately misleading my king. Li Hashan said disdainfully. He cupped his fists together and said, "My king, leave this matter to me." Li Hashan was a person who valued wealth more than his life. He wanted to conquer Penang because it was a big city with many rich people. If he conquered Penang, he would be a big landlord. Naturally, he could not say these words out loud. He could only do it secretly. Yang Yunzhang trusted Li Hashan very much. He nodded and said, "In that case, I'll leave it to you, Brother Li. Don't worry, Adventurer King." Li Hashan laughed heartily. In his opinion, the fate of the great Yen dynasty was nearing its end. He was confident that he would be able to break into the city as easily as before. Now that he had dealt with that old geezer, Qiu Renzhong, it was time for him to command the wind and the clouds. He even wondered if he should remove Yang Yunzhang and become the Adventurer King himself. However, he did not dare to do so. Although Yang Yunzhang was indulging in debauchery now, there were still many generals who followed him in the beginning. Everyone listened to him. He did not dare to remove Yang Yunzhang. After retreating, Li Hashan began to gather the soldiers. There were 80,000 soldiers in total. The remaining 20,000 soldiers would stay in the 3 cities. "Your Majesty, there's an urgent report from the front lines. Yang Yunzhang's soldiers are making their way to Penang." At noon, Wang Zhong was reviewing memorials. Recently, there were fewer memorials about the flood relief. On one hand, the flood was receding. On the other hand, the food allocated by the imperial court was in place. The flood victims were not as troublesome as before. The recent memorials were all about Chuang King Yang. There were currently 3 factions in the imperial court. One of them was the peace faction. They had the most people. According to them, Yang Yunzhang was born a poor farmer. The banner he used was to conquer the land and divide the land. This was too tempting for the poor farmers. It was also because of this that Yang Yunzhang managed to gather more than 100,000 soldiers in a short time and conquered 3 cities. Therefore, the peace faction suggested peace talks and enlistment. Chapter 646. After reading the suggestions of the peacemakers, Wang Zhong tossed the memorials out. A bunch of useless things. A mere 100,000 soldiers scared them to the point of pissing their pants. What's the use of having them? Rage filled Wang Zhong's face. At the end of the day, these officials only wanted their own safety. As long as the soldiers did not attack them, they could continue to live a good life. But why didn't they think about it? What about the next time after this peace talk? One could imagine that if the other factions saw how weak the great Yen dynasty was, they would take the opportunity to rise up like Yang Yunzhang and make things difficult for him. At that time, would there still be peace talks? Cede territory and pay compensation? Make an apology? Most importantly, there were still many people who supported the peacemakers. Fortunately, Wang Zhong was comforted by the fact that there was still a large group of people who supported the war. This group of people suggested that Yang Yunzhang's army must be defeated in advance to prevent Yang Yunzhang's army from growing stronger and becoming disadvantageous to the situation. Among them, 2 generals were willing to lead troops to attack Yang Yunzhang's 3 cities. The other faction was trying to smooth things over. They said that the situation was unclear and that they should wait for a few days for the situation to clear up. There were not many people in this faction. It seemed like after they submitted the memorials, He Taigao suggested, "Your Majesty, I think we can use these 2 generals to kill that bastard Yang Yunzhang's army in the cradle and strengthen our country's prestige." Wang Zhong waved his hand and said, "It's not safe." "Your Majesty, I don't understand why it's not safe. Although our army has many people, it's too much for us to march a long distance and attack cities. But that bastard Yang Yunzhang's army is already heading for Penang. don't worry. I have a plan. After that, Wang Zhong turned to He Taigao and said, Great companion, you'll have to carry out this plan on my behalf. Your Majesty, please give me your orders. You're doing this. Wang Zhong explained the plan. His plan required a high level of cooperation, so he needed his men to supervise the troops. He Taigao was a good candidate. Great comrade, thank you for your hard work in overseeing the front lines. Wang Zhong patted He Taigao's shoulder heavily. He Taigao was flattered. It is this old servant's duty to share the emperor's burdens. This old servant will do his best. Bring more people with you on the way. Go. Yes. He Taigao left. A day later, He Taigao rushed to Penang without stopping. Penang was now in a state of panic, and the people were fleeing. Very simple, Chuang Yang's army is said to be attacking. In the past, the commoners might have had a good impression of Yang Yunzhang's army because their propaganda was to petition for the people and fight for land. In addition, Yang Yunzhang was also a poor farmer. Some of the commoners who had suffered hardships were rumored to support Yang Yunzhang. However, during this period of time, the citizens of the 3 cities that Yang Yunzhang had occupied were constantly escaping. It was said that after Yang Yunzhang took over the 3 cities, although he beat up the landlords, after the landlords were beaten up, their belongings were taken by Yang Yunzhang and his subordinates. This was equivalent to saying that the commoners did not benefit at all. What was even more outrageous was that after Yang Yunzhang's subordinates occupied the cities, they robbed the commoners of their wealth and even kidnapped women. It was worse than during the Great Yen dynasty. Hence, many commoners fled. It was precisely because they knew that Yang Yunzhang's army was not a good bunch that the commoners in Penang fled in fear when they heard that Yang Yunzhang was attacking. What was even more outrageous was that the city's garrison general, Wu Yuan, had left the city with his soldiers. What? Wu Yuan has fled with his soldiers? Outside the city, Li Hashan was stunned when he heard the secret report from his spy. Then, he was overjoyed. Ha ha ha. As expected, Great Yan's days are numbered. Qiu Ranzhong, what do you have to say for yourself? Qiu Ranzhong was still alive. This was because Yang Yunzhang had always put Qiu Ranzhong in important positions. Li Hashan was not convinced by this. Hence, he wanted to show Qiu Ranzhong that he, Li Hashan, was the best when it came to scheming. Qiu Ranzhong was still shackled as he knelt on the ground and sneered, Is that so? You heard it yourself. Penang's generals fled in fear when they heard that the Great Yan's army is approaching. What does this mean? It means our army will be like a hot knife through butter. We'll kill them all. You're wise, General Li. As expected, General Li's foresight is divine. You're truly a hero. General Li, I'm willing to be the vanguard and charge into the city. Qiu Ranzhong's heart sank as he looked at the people who were fawning over him. Each and every one of them had changed. He still remembered that when he first met this group of people, they were a group of simple farmers. Some of them had their daughters taken away by landlords. Some of them were sick and had no money, but they were forced to pay the land rent. Most of them were on the verge of starving to death because they did not have enough to eat. However, now, these people had become the same people who harmed them in the past for the sake of profit. He was at a loss. He felt that it would be better for the Great Yen dynasty to continue governing the world. At the very least, he had heard that the Great Yen dynasty's emperor had changed greatly. He killed corrupt officials, took away the land of the landlords and distributed it to the people. He even launched disaster relief during the flood. He even mobilized the concubines in the harem to donate their belongings. In order to motivate the concubines to donate, the emperor even publicly auctioned which concubine he would sleep with at night. Naturally, these things were deliberately publicized by Wang Zhong. In the past, the emperor wanted to save face no matter what he did. He was always thinking about dignity and dignity. Wang Zhong was not like them. In this era, publicity was very important. He had to portray himself as an upright and honest person who loved the people like his own children. Li Hashan was smug from all the flattery. He waved his hand and said heroically, All right, Let's charge in while the enemy is retreating. 80,000 soldiers charged toward Penang under Li Hashan's lead. The city's garrison has retreated. Penang is ours. Charge in. Li Hashan roared. A group of soldiers charged into Penang. Ha ha, there's really no one left. The vanguard said happily when they entered the city and did not encounter any resistance. Ha ha, the people here have a lot of money. Everyone, take it. There are no beauties here. Damn it. Isn't that so? A few soldiers grumbled. Just as a group of soldiers were plundering their belongings, the soldiers in the city began to gather around them. Woo-woo. Suddenly, the horn of attack sounded in the city. What's the situation? Li Hashan, who was about to enter the city, was stunned. Kill. Inside the city, a group of soldiers suddenly appeared from all directions and killed the mob that was plundering. On the top floor of the inner city wall, He Taigao watched his soldiers succeed in their surprise attack and smiled. His Majesty's foresight is indeed divine. He knew that dog thief Yang's army was a motley crew. They only know how to plunder when they enter the city. They don't follow the rules at all. Eunuch, there are estimated to be 50,000 soldiers entering the city. Should I signal the troops outside to attack? The general of the city guard, Wu Yuan, asked respectfully. The people outside thought that Wu Yuan had escaped with his men. In fact, this news was released by Wu Yuan under He Taigao's order to confuse the enemy's sight. In fact, it was only one of Wu Yuan's generals who left the city with 30,000 soldiers. These people were not far from the city and were ready to come back for a sneak attack. Well, it's about time. Take advantage of the chaos between the two armies and kill them all. Yes, sir. Wu Yuan waved his hand. A soldier behind him took out a signal flare and shot it into the sky. Bui! Rumble! The troops outside saw the signal flare. Wu Yuan's general shouted, "Follow me to the city gate, kill! Kill!" No one expected Wu Yuan's soldiers to turn back halfway. Li Hashan's troops, who wanted to bring people into the city, were stunned when they saw this scene. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Looking at the scene of defeat, Qiu Ranzhong, who was still tied up, laughed. Wonderful, wonderful. First, he lured the enemy deep into the city and caught our vanguard off guard. Then, he flanked us from the rear. Who's the one who came up with this military strategy? Qiu Ranzhong did not consider the possibility that this military strategy came from Wu Yuan. He had studied the military strategy of some of the generals in Great Yen. He knew Wu Yuan did not have this ability. Could it be that the imperial court has sent a new general? Qiu Ranzhong wondered. The imperial court's troops are coming. Run. Run. This battle was different from before. Previously, they had the support of the people. This time, they had no support at all. Moreover, with Wang Zhong's plan, Yang Yunzhong's troops were instantly defeated. Giddy up! At this moment, Li Hashan was fleeing in a panic. At this moment, a soldier entered Qiu Ranzhong's tent. Military Advisor Qiu. Puchi. The soldier cut off Qiu Ranzhong's ropes. General Li has fled with his remaining troops. Let's flee as well. Qiu Ranzhong looked at the soldier in disbelief. Military Advisor, you're the one who saved my family from the landlord. All right. Qiu Ranzhong had some impression of this person. He hastily asked, "What's the situation outside?" "General Li has fled. My troops and I were separated." The soldier explained as he took off his armor. "Let's run. If we're caught by the imperial court, we'll be charged with treason. Let's go." Qiu Ranzhong sighed. He did not expect the empire that he had painstakingly built to be defeated so quickly. The two of them took advantage of the chaos and fled into the wilderness. As for Wang Zhong's troops, they pursued Li Hashan's troops. At this moment, Yang Yunzhong was drinking and having fun with the two women Li Hashan had given him. "Report. What's the matter? Why are you so flustered?" Yang Yunzhong asked, displeased. General Li's troops were attacked by the enemy. His troops were scattered. General Li led the remaining troops back. The enemy's troops are now gathering outside the city. What? Yang Yunzhang rose to his feet immediately. Li Hashan's troops were defeated. Yang Yunzhang had a look of disbelief on his face. His troops had always been victorious. Great Yan's dynasty was at its end. How could they be defeated? You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.